AMP.pro text line. Of course, you can download the mobile app, AM560 mobile app, and communicate with us via that technological innovation as well. Yeah, nobody goes to work today except you and me and our team here.
You think people are going to call in sick? I mean,
I'd feel a little under the weather after having to watch that game.
Yeah.
It was kind of it was rough, especially on the offensive side of the ball. But Peyton Manning, the storybook finish.
Right.
He doesn't need to go to Disney World. His life is a Disney movie.
It is.
So
it's hard not to like Peyton Manning.
What did you do in the McQuarrie family? You have like a brood of kids. You live in a shoe full of kids. What would you guys all do?
Well, that is true. It's hard to watch anything in my house uninterrupted. So I did not get to sit and watch the game beginning to end. I'm sure I missed some of the commercials, but no.
Probably a few sacks. That's about it.
Well, I think mostly you're being coarse with me this morning because now you owe me money. Right?
Right. Yes, I did say we would make a friendly wager. Proceeds would go to charity, so we don't get so that ATF doesn't raid this office.
You said $1,000. That is what you said. I have it in writing.
Well, look, I mean, it's the Super Bowl.
And you set up the bet.
$1,000 is openers.
You picked your bet and you picked my bet, and you still lost.
Yeah.
So I think maybe you owe me $2,000.
Yeah.
How much did you lose yesterday, Dan?
How much do I have? How many times do I have to learn not to rely on Cam Newton in a title game? This is 2011 all over. Even though Auburn won, he didn't cover. I got it at Auburn giving 3. You'll remember. 22-19 was the final score in that game. And again, Cam Newton lets me down. So
poor you.
Best part of the Super Bowl experience for the times that you got to watch where you weren't, making your famous chili or whatever it is you do.
Wings.
You made
sure. Wings. Mm-hmm. I mean, what was it when the first fumble touchdown was that in the first 5 minutes of the game?
Yeah. Wow.
So I was pulling for the Broncos, so that was exciting.
My favorite moment was the Willem Dafoe, Marilyn Monroe Snickers commercial. That was
I don't really want to see William Dafoe's
that's why.
Underpants.
That's why it was so off-putting.
It was
memorable. So that was on the kind of entertaining, surreal side. My favorite commercial on the more inspired side was that Jeep commercial.
Yes.
That was good. It was still paled in comparison to the now iconic Paul Harvey God Made a Farmer Dodge commercial.
Yes.
From a couple years ago.
Or even Clint Eastwood's Detroit commercial. Was that 2 years ago?
No.
Last year?
Was that long? That was pre-2012.
Okay.
It?
Or Eminem's. Remember his Detroit commercial?
Yeah.
Eminem, Detroit native Eminem. You know who Eminem is, right?
I do, yeah.
Okay. Just checking.
The FCC won't let me be or let me be me, so let me see. Yeah.
I like it.
Yeah. So ask me if I know who Eminem is. That's a hot one.
Well, he can be sort of vulgar, and you're such a church-going Catholic boy. I wasn't sure if
I do have
he meets your standard.
I do have a streak of gangster rapper in me, though.
That's true.
Now, so the front side of the commercials, the game, the Peyton Manning storyline, of course, and then of course the pro forma handing out the Lombardi Trophy after the game. How did you notice anything about that whole process? Was there anybody's remarks that you took particular note of?
Okay, so explain to me why Peyton Manning had to plug Budweiser.
I don't think
he's walking off the field.
I don't think
that was very strange to me.
I don't think he had to. I think that's just his beer of choice.
No.
It is. He's the king of the NFL, and that is the king of beers.
No, all of that is so scripted, and it just felt very awkward.
Von Miller is buying, he said, so I don't know if that actually happened, MVP. No, I wasn't referring to that. I was referring to the trophy presentation.
No, I think I was maybe asleep.
Oh, were you?
Yeah.
There was a moment where, you have the coach and you have the star quarterback and you have the MVP, and then you have a representation of the ownership, the team owner. Unfortunately, in this case, Pat Bowlen, the owner of the Broncos, has a well-documented case of Alzheimer's, and he is not capable of being present. So that's unfortunate. So Annabelle Bowlen, his wife, has been his stand-in for these sorts of events. And she's still not quite as fluid as you'd hope she'd be.
Annabelle, the mic is yours.
If Pat was here today, he would say he is very proud of his team and the best fans in the NFL. On behalf of the Bolin family, congratulations to the Denver Broncos. For the third time, Broncos country, you are Super Bowl champions.
Yeah, she kind of puts the wrong emphasis on the wrong syllable. But in addition to that, she forgot she was reading from a prepared script. She's more scripted than Marco Rubio, some could argue. But she lost her place when she got to Denver Broncos, the team that her husband and, by extension, she owned. Yeah, so that was a bit of an awkward moment.
I missed all that. I missed that.
In the run-up to the game, Roger Goodell stepped in a little bit. The subtext of all this, despite this being an international multi-cajillion-dollar event and the NFL being an international multi-cajillion-dollar industry, Roger Goodell, the subtext is the concussion issue, right?
Right.
It's not just a Will Smith movie. It's real. They just, earlier in the week, there was the report that Kenny Stabler, the great Raiders quarterback who had passed away, he had CTE. He had a bad case of CTE. And then Roger Goodell was asked about the issue of safety in the NFL, particularly as it relates to the concussions. And he said, there are risks in life. There are risks sitting on a couch. That was not received very well by Sally Jenkins and the Washington Post, who opined on this. It wasn't received very well by Dave Duerson's family. Of course, the tragic Duerson suicide, where he shot himself in the chest, remember, to preserve his brain for study because of what he was suffering from. And so Goodell has kind of stepped in it by being dismissive. There are risks sitting on a couch, sure, but that's not exactly on scale, right? We're talking proportion here. So his flippancy with respect to chronic traumatic encephalopathy, and now I'm doing an Annabelle Bolin.
Just say boo-boo, head boo-boo.
Encephalopathy.
Okay.
How about that?
I'll go with that.
So Goodell being a little bit flip about that. You, again, as we mentioned, you have a shoe full of kids. Would you let your sons or daughters play football?
I'm sort of steering away from that. It's kind of a big deal at my kids' elementary school. No, I'm not a big fan. We had George McCaskey come in and talk to the editorial board not too long ago with the NFL's top concussion expert and the Bears' top doctor, and they talked a lot about it. This is why this is so something Roger Goodell would do. His own industry has a top aide that's they're trying to make unnecessary roughness calls stick. They're trying to make this a big deal and understand that players are getting hurt and they're getting pulled off of the sidelines. You're getting evaluated right away. And then you have the chairman popping off as if, these are ankle sprains or something. I think it's just very telling about what kind of a person he is.
I mean, I don't want to be critical of you, but in the NFL, we call that the commissioner.
Oh, the commissioner.
Yeah.
What did I call him?
The chairman.
Chairman, sorry.
Yeah.
The big guy.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, you've really... You've tapped out my football knowledge. Like, this is it. That's it. I'm down.
On that note.
It's news, opinion, insight. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your weather forecast today. Cloudy and colder with a light dusting of snow, possibly accumulating to an inch. High of 33. It's not very high at all. Now a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thank you, Kristen. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. And as both of you and Mike Scott have mentioned, traffic volume is light this morning in the wake of last night's Super Bowl. We see no delays at all to report yet on the expressways and tollways. And in Palatine, there's a bit of good news. Dundee had been blocked off at Northwest Highway after a crash. There are still lane closures. Dundee is reduced to one lane in each direction between Northwest Highway and Gila as police investigate an earlier collision. But elsewhere right now on the roads and the rails, things look great. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Winter weather is here, and this season's roller coaster ride and temperatures can be especially taxing on your business's mechanical HVAC system. That's why it's important to schedule a comprehensive review of your system today with Air Comfort, Chicagoland's leading mechanical professionals. For more than 80 years, Air Comfort has maintained hundreds of businesses' HVAC systems throughout Chicagoland and Northwest Indiana. Why do they trust their mechanical systems to Air Comfort? It's simple. Because they understand that Air Comfort has the best trained and highly skilled team of award-winning technicians. That's why Air Comfort is recognized as an MSCA Star Contractor, a designation achieved by only 2% of contractors nationwide. With a large service fleet of more than 80 fully equipped vehicles, chances are that an Air Comfort technician is nearby. Schedule your system check by calling now, 708-345-1900, or online at aircomfort.com.
When's the last time you saw a pay raise? For many Illinois families, it's been years, unless you work for state government. AFSCME workers have seen their salaries grow 5 times faster than Illinois workers' median earnings over the last decade. And they get Cadillac health insurance that most Illinois families can't afford. But that's not enough for Illinois government workers. They're demanding more, $3 billion more. Enough is enough. It's time to stand up for Illinois taxpayers. Learn more and make your voice heard at illinoispolicy.org. Illinois' political class is crushing Illinois families. Illinoisans struggle to find good jobs and schools, and they struggle to pay for government workers who retire in their 50s and earn millions in retirement. Illinois Policy fights against the Springfield status quo on behalf of all families, not just the politically connected. See what Illinois' political class doesn't want you to read at illinoispolicy.org. Illinois Policy. Illinois' comeback story starts here.
If your company needs custom metal fabrication products, then you should know AM 560 Feed the Children business benefactor Lockport Steel Fabricators. For over 7 decades, from the smallest project to major commercial construction, Lockport Steel's family of companies has excelled at manufacturing a diverse product mix, including structural steel, miscellaneous metals, aluminum extrusions, and more. Imagine the peace of mind knowing you're working with a national company that's AISC certified right here in Chicagoland. Customers know Lockport Steel focuses on getting your job done right, on time, and to exact needs and specs. Immediate turnaround service is also available. Discover why all types of major industries, including oil and gas, power generation, telecommunications, store fixtures, and commercial construction companies, trust Lockport Steel to make it happen for them. Visit lockportsteel.com or call Greg Radecki today at 815-927-4401 for a no-obligation quote and consultation. Lockport Steel Fabricators, making it happen. That's lockportsteel.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy Jacobson. Kristen, you know that song? You know who that is? You know who that is?
I'm thinking.
Yeah.
No.
So you were trying to take cheap shots at me about my lack of rap bona fides. That's Eminem. That's the Eminem you were referring to.
It is?
All right. So you occupy one of the hallowed seats on the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And last week, you had a rather important editorial board endorsement session. And as is customary, you brought in all the candidates for the particular office in question, at least on one side. And that is for the Cook County State's Attorney's race, Anita Alvarez, Kim Fox, Donna Moore. And a lot to talk about when we talk about the Cook County State's Attorney, starting with Anita Alvarez's handling of the Laquan McDonald case.
Yeah, I mean, that was our first question. We spent a lot of time on that. I mean, it's become an international embarrassment for the city of Chicago. And we have a state's attorney who, believes she'd not make any mistakes. She didn't bring this up in the board meeting, but I've heard her say that she would have perhaps, I guess maybe she did bring this up, when they started investigating this and when she brought in the feds in April, about 6 months after the shooting, she wishes she would have done more press so that people understood that they were taking it seriously and looking into it. But that's all. She says she made no mistakes, and she wouldn't have pressed charges any sooner than she did. She's in a trick bag because she waited until the video was going to go public. We know that. She has said She charged Officer Van Dyke because she was worried about public safety. And so it just leaves her very vulnerable to this issue that, what if the video would never have been released? Then Van Dyke would still be on the force, and she doesn't have a good answer for that.
I appreciate she said, I don't believe any mistakes were made, so that means everything she did was purposeful. Finally, we have kind of a backdoor confession from one of our public officials. Everything I did was how I wanted to do it. Okay, great. So now we can assess you based on the choices that you made. I wonder if she mentioned at all the rather curious case of the preemptive settlement with Laquan McDonald's family and how Cook County State's Attorney's Office does or does not communicate with Corp Counsel, the mayor's office, while you have two politicians pursuing their simultaneous political interests.
That was more of a City Hall issue, the settlement, and no, we did not talk to her about that, but we've seen through all the emails that have been released that, yes, her top communications people were speaking with the mayor's top communications folks, and it was all damage control. It was all damage control from day one, if you look at those emails.
And so what about Kim Foxx? I mean, if you're going to replace someone, you have to have an alternative on the Democrat side, at least. And by the way, just as a quick aside, this guy, Christopher Fancook, who's the Republican nominee for Cook County State's Attorney, he doesn't have a primary challenge. We've had him on the show. This is like a serious guy. I know, Cook County Republican, ha, ha, ha. He's in the office for 31 years. He knows all these people. Mm-hmm. He's been in every section of the Cook County State's Attorney's Cook County State's Attorney's office that you can be, as compared to, say, Kim Foxx, who's never prosecuted a case.
No, she has.
What did she prosecute?
She mostly juvenile, all juvenile. Uh-huh. She was in the juvenile division, and there's dispute over whether or not she was in that division because perhaps she wasn't as accomplished.
So really, you want a Cook County State's Attorney, I would suggest, that has had a turn at the wheel at felony review, because that's where the action is.
Well, he doesn't have a primary, so we will.
Well,
he will get more attention.
No, I understand.
Once we get through this.
I'm not criticizing the Tribune. I'm just saying, as an aside here, you actually have a pretty serious Republican candidate. I mean, at least in terms of qualifications. I know qualifications. What am I
Silly.
talking about?
You're just so goofy.
So Kim Foxx, Tony Preckwinkle's Girl Friday. How does she hold up under scrutiny as an alternative, since this is going to be one of these races, unfortunately, that comes down to race?
I mean, all three of them did very well in front of the board. They're they're all accomplished. I think Anita Alvarez is in trouble because Kim Foxx, I mean, we don't even sometimes have a Cook County State's Attorney who has a tremendous amount of experience. We have politicians and figureheads like Dick Devine and others. So if you want experience, obviously Anita Alvarez has the most. But Kim Foxx and Donna Moore Donna Moore worked in the federal prosecutor's office and the Cook County State's Attorney's office, so she has a little bit. She also has private sector experience, and Kim Foxx is, she's impressive. She's nothing to just ignore. She's good, and I do think race is going to play a big role in this.
And Donna Moore, any possibility Donna Moore put up by the dailies to be a spoiler to protect Alvarez?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I don't think she would be she's raising money. She's putting herself out there. She's very disturbed at the way Anita Alvarez has run the office. She thinks she's been just overly political, and she makes a good case for that too.
A lot of interesting primaries in this city and state in the next 5 or coming up in 5 weeks. That's one of them.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing, independently owned business bank. Signature Bank listens to your story, learns about your business, and sticks with their customers. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Kurt Penn, founder and CEO of Good Foods. In 2007, I was shopping in a natural foods grocery store and had a vision for a company that would produce fresh, all-natural foods with a social conscience. Signature Bank helped turn that vision into what now is Good Foods. Signature Bank President Mick O'Rourke listened to our story and learned about our business. Mick has been with us every step of the way. Signature Bank takes care of the details so we can focus on producing good foods. Signature Bank is deeply invested in our success. Good Foods is very proud to bank with Signature Bank.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
ChicagoRadioDeals.com has pulled the trigger to bring you classes for Illinois gun owners. Take advantage of a new Illinois concealed carry class From Safer USA, Dave Lombardo, class instructor, offering his concealed carry 16-hour seminar for only $150. Now, this seminar is normally $300. It covers everything you need to know to protect you and your family with a concealed carry firearm for personal protection or against a home invasion. Dave is a pro and also the host of the show On Target Radio. Get in a little range time as well with a 1-year range membership from the Outdoorsman Sports Shop in Winthrop Harbor. This is a premium gun range in Northeast Illinois, and a 1-year membership is only $149. That's a $350 value. Your range membership includes great discounts on products and services at the Outdoorsman Sports Shop. Find out all the details at chicagoradiodeals.com. Also featuring great deals on many other lifestyle training classes. Find them all at chicagoradiodeals.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
Some Shady. Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy Jacobson. Coming up, did Marco get poloed in Saturday night's debate, or is his performance being treated unfairly? We'll discuss all the details and events regarding Saturday night's debate that you didn't watch at 5:35 after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, good morning. 32 degrees along the lakefront. Denver in celebration mode. Broncos laying claim to Super Bowl 50 last night.
My plan was to try to win this game tonight and to really take it all in and to enjoy being a part of this journey. And it's definitely been a heck of a ride this season. It's been unique, and I think just having a great faith has helped, and our whole team and for me. And so I'm taking it one night at a time.
Peyton Manning says he's not certain about his future. Budweiser is certain they didn't pay Peyton Manning a red cent for all of his mentions of their product during the Super Bowl post-game shows. Former President Bill Clinton going after his wife's Democratic presidential rival hard. Hillary Clinton finding Democrat Bernie Sanders' accusation as well that she's under the influence of her donors.
It had nothing to do with any money whatsoever, and I resent deeply any effort by the Sanders campaign to so imply.
The Clintons going after Sanders in a big way yesterday after a new lead in big public opinion polls were gathered yesterday ahead of the New Hampshire primary Tuesday. Christie believes Saturday night's debate was a solid home run for him and changed the face of the race.
The whole race changed last night because, there was a march among some in the chattering class to anoint Senator Rubio. I think after last night, that's over.
New Jersey governor telling CNN State of the Union, now the GOP race is unsettled. Officials say one of 2 survivors found in earthquake rubble-strewn areas of southern Taiwan was shielded under the body of her husband. Both were rescued from a toppled high-rise apartment building, one of several buildings which collapsed during Saturday's 6.4 magnitude earthquake that has killed at least 37. President Obama sends his 2017 budget blueprint to Congress tomorrow. A shooting following a Mardi Gras parade in Mississippi in Pass Christian has left 2 dead and 4 others wounded. Here in Chicago, 4 young people have been shot outside a home. 1 is in critical condition. And Illinois' Springfield's 2 largest hospitals, $76 million for their care of state workers, retirees, and their dependents. Bulls head to Charlotte to clash with Michael Jordan's Hornets tonight. Blackhawks begin a 4-game homestand tomorrow night. And Hideki Matsuyama earned an unexpected victory in the Waste Management Phoenix Open on the 4th playoff hole of golf when he beat Ricky Fowler. The news service of Uber. Hey, Chicago, Uber has an easy way to reduce traffic congestion and get you reimbursed for your drive. It's called Uber Commute. Just turn on the Uber app, and you'll automatically be matched with fellow commuters going the same way during commuting hours. Sign up for free at uber.com/commute. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees 2 reasons for Bernie Sanders' rise.
It would be because of perhaps millennials who are very excited about free stuff, because that's what Bernie Sanders keeps offering. Meanwhile, Hillary is up to her eyeballs with the new reports about top secret emails on her server. Most people don't trust her, and maybe this is why a 74-year-old socialist is doing so well.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
LiveWatch helps you connect and respond up to 10 times faster in an emergency. LiveWatch has no long-term contracts. Save up to 50% off home security. Call 855-LiveWatch or visit livewatch.com.
My name is Dr. Howard. I've recommended Balance of Nature for over 15 years because of the excellent results I see in my patients. Balance of Nature doesn't make any claims of treating or curing any particular disease, but I think the results speak for themselves.
When I started on this, I stopped my blood pressure and my cholesterol medicine. My blood pressure after a week since then has been normal, and my bad cholesterol dropped 27 points in 3 weeks, and my overall cholesterol dropped like 25 points. So I'm good. So I'm not taking anything.
The top 3 New Year's resolutions are health-related. Improve your odds by getting started early with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
5:37. Let's get an update on the roads in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. There's a partial opening in Palatine. Dundee Road is now reduced to 1 lane in both directions. The Northwest Highway in Ela, Dundee had been closed entirely for a crash investigation. It's getting heavy approaching O'Hare. Westbound 190 has delays from River Road to the terminal area at the airport. In Von Rhine, you've got a 3-minute delay coming into downtown Bishop Ford, about a 1 or 2 minute delay from Cottage Grove to the merge. The other expressways and tollways are fine for now. Traffic is a service of Jewel Osco. Catch the savings at your local Jewel Osco store. Through Wednesday, get 2 6-ounce signature Atlantic salmon fillets for $7. Don't miss a sweet deal on California Cuties or Halos Clementines. A 5-pound box is only $3.99. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy, colder, a bit of snow, coating to an inch, high 33. 29 at O'Hare, light snow, and 31 in Aurora. Your next news update is at 6. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy, and Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune editorial board sitting in for Amy this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by RadioPlumbingDeals.com. Have a plumbing problem? Get the best plumbers in Chicagoland and massive discounts at RadioPlumbingDeals.com.
If you're talking about it, I'll be talking about it. Dennis Prager here. Join me this morning at 11, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and as Mike Scott mentioned, in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. And Kristen, a debate on Saturday night, Super Bowl Eve, tough night to have a debate and expect a lot of people to tune in. After watching it, I can say many things. One of them is that Carly Fiorina, repeat what we said on Friday, should have been on the stage.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason for her not to be there. One more candidate.
Right.
I mean, let me put it this way. If there are lulls when Martha Raddatz isn't trying to illustrate her foreign policy chops that she pretends to have, there are lulls such that you get into women's conscription, then you got enough space in that debate for another candidate to talk about the central issues in the campaign.
Sure.
And so that was disappointing. But nothing was so disappointing, at least for Marco Rubio, as Marco Rubio's performance. And I got to say, we'll play the full exchange with him and Christie. But for those of you who watched it, in the moment, did you feel like it was a real meltdown for Marco Rubio? Did you feel like it was a Rick Perry moment, as some people have compared it to? Or was it just kind of a bit of a ping-pong match between Christie and Rubio for 90 seconds? I got to, because since so few people watch it, and this is the case with all debates, but even the well-viewed debates, but since so few people watch it, the coverage is really going to dominate people's interpretation of what happened. And the coverage is that Rubio had a core meltdown and, turned into, I guess was exposed for the droid that he is, according to some, just kind of a reciter of talking points. But when you listen to this, I I guess you listen to this now, is that a fair interpretation? But if you saw it in real time, was that your impression in this Rubio and Christie exchange?
Under Chris Christie's governorship of New Jersey, they've been downgraded 9 times in their credit rating. This country already has a debt problem. We don't need to add to it by electing someone who has experience at running up and destroying the credit rating of his state.
That's what Washington, D.C. does. The drive-by shot at the beginning with incorrect and incomplete information, and then the memorized 25-second speech. When you're president of the United States, when you're a governor of a state, the memorized 30-second speech where you talk about how great America is at the end of it doesn't solve one problem for one person.
So your state got hit by a massive snowstorm 2 weeks ago. You didn't even want to go back. They had to shame you into going back. So here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
The memorized 25-second speech.
Let's dispel once and for all with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
Let's dispel with this fiction that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing. He knows exactly what he's doing. He is trying to change this country. He wants America to become more like the rest of the world. Anyone who believes that Barack Obama isn't doing what he's doing on purpose doesn't understand what we're dealing with here.
So he was kind of in a continuous loop there, Marco Rubio.
I did watch it after I read some of the coverage. I had recorded it. I actually thought my DVR had messed up.
It was skipping?
I thought it was skipping. So I do think it was dramatic. I do think this is not the time or the race to be inauthentic in any way. And he really exposed himself. And I mean, Christie jumping in there and saying, there it is again, reminds me of the 1980 debate, Reagan,
There you go again.
There he goes again.
Yeah.
I mean, I think this is going to sort of go down as one of those historic moments. I thought it was very bad for Rubio. I haven't seen any polling after the fact, but I don't know how recoverable this is going to be.
Well, I mean, the polling after the fact is that arguably that stunted Rubio's surge because he was moving a little bit in second place, closing the gap between he and Trump, and now that's stopped. In fact, a couple of the tracking polls over the weekend, Monmouth as well as ARG have John Kasich in second place.
Yeah. I mean,
Cruz in third, Bush, then Christie. The other mistake I think Marco Rubio made, just consistent with that rundown I just offered, why engage Christie in that way in the first place? That was the mistake. The mistake was Christie takes a shot at you. You know he's going to take a shot at you. He is not relevant. You're tearing down Chris Christie isn't going to get you 2 percentage points of Christie supporters that, of the 5 that he has right now. What was the point of that? He should have pivoted and just stayed on the underlying substance of the debate they were having, which was completely lost. And the substance of the debate was, is Barack Obama nefarious, incompetent, or answer C, all of the above? And then Trump got into this as well, saying he believes Obama is incompetent, where Marco Rubio thinks it's purposeful, but then Rubio kind of undermined his own argument by saying he's got incompetent people around him, but it's purposeful. So, but that is kind of an important argument because it helps people to see things for how they really are. It's an argument I make often, but this idea that people in power that aren't doing the things you want them to do, or that everything is performing badly under their stewardship, they must be incompetent. Maybe not. Maybe what they're doing is purposeful. Maybe they know precisely what they're doing because it accrues to their personal benefit. Barack Obama is a 2-term president of the United States. You think he's just a bumbling fool, has no concept of what he's doing politically? I don't think so. To the extent that you can be both nefarious and incompetent, think Obamacare rollout, right? That was purposeful. The rollout was a catastrophe, didn't have their ducks in a row. He's a bad manager, all of those things. But it's the combination or the intersection of purposeful and incompetent, which is a dangerous intersection.
But wasn't the lead-in to this whole exchange because people are comparing Rubio's experience to Obama's? Junior senator.
Yeah.
And then instead of actually addressing that and talking about, what he has accomplished, he pivots and goes into this vine about Obama. It just, I think he does need to address the experience question.
Well,
and I think the governors, especially Christie, make a very good case when they point out that you can sort of slide by being a U.S. senator. You're not asked to do a lot. When you are a governor, you have day-to-day management that you have to wake up every morning, like Christy was saying, and figure out how to solve problems. I think that's a good point.
There's two good lines going both directions that I would have used as a debate advisor. One, in terms of addressing the experience question for both Cruz and Rubio, the non-governors, if you will, is Oscar Wilde's famous observation that experience is simply the name we give our mistakes. So experience matters, but judgment matters too. So let me talk about instances where I've, number one, exercised good judgment. Number two, where I've learned from mistakes, which is the tack he really should take with that Gang of Eight bill, rather than trying to spin his way out of it all the time.
Yeah,
no, he absolutely should walk away from that. He absolutely should say, because he
should
did walk away
it.
from it.
I think he should embrace it. We have differing opinions about that piece of legislation.
He can't embrace something he already walked away from.
Well,
so
right.
What he should say is, I walked away from it because I understood I had made a mistake. That's the only way out for him.
I think the bill is defensible. I think what the Gang of Eight came forth with is defensible, and he should be embracing it.
Well, if he embraces that, then if you think his momentum has been stunted in New Hampshire, he's going to trend to Chris Christie territory in subsequent states. He can't embrace it politically because that's not the position he's in. That's not the market position he's trying to occupy.
I understand. But if there has been a lot of misinformation about that bill, it is not an amnesty bill. I won't go into all the... No, it isn't. And so for Republicans to continue to go through another election cycle where they are not moving or doing anything on immigration reform, it's going to hurt them. And I'm really disgusted with the Republican Party for all these years of sitting on what is a major problem. And I don't like when you have someone like Rubio attacking a complex issue, trying to come up with a solution, and then he gets shot down.
Even John Kasich isn't going as far as you suggest Marco Rubio go, and is not going so far as you suggest Republicans should go on so-called immigration reform. Even Kasich is willing to sequence the idea of border security, and then let's have a conversation about, number one,
that's what the Gang of Eight bill did. It dealt with border security first.
It established a path to citizenship concurrent. And the problem is, as Marco Rubio learned, is that people don't trust D.C. to do the security piece first. They trust them to walk away from the security piece while doing the path to citizenship piece, very much like spending and taxes together. You're going to spend, we're going to have permanently, and we're going to have temporary tax relief. This bait and switch people have gotten wise to, and that's why there's no credibility on it. That's why Marco Rubio should say, that's what I came to understand, and it was a mistake. And then he doesn't have to be in the ridiculous position of pretending that he wasn't on board with it when Chuck Schumer says he was on board with it, for example. I mean, Rubio just puts himself in an impossible position, and he can't plastic man his way out of it.
Well, I think that it's high time the Republican Party did do something on immigration reform. Lindsey Graham was part of the Gang of Eight, and he was one of the most heated rhetoric border security candidates in the race. I mean, it was a pathway to legal work status after 13 years, after paying back taxes, after getting a background check, after learning English. I mean, all things that we are supposed to be embracing in this country that Gang of Eight legislation would have done.
Like the rule of law? Tom and Schomburg, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Any Republican that follows the issues knows that when Reagan gave amnesty, he did it for one reason and one reason only, because it would never, never happen again. Leading Democrats, leading Republicans, the entire Congress agreed this was the last time. It would never, never happen again. Oh, and by the way, we're going to secure the border. And look what happened to us. So anybody that says, you know, we have to give a pathway to citizenship for people who violated our law and broke into our country can kiss my you-know-what.
Thanks for the call, Tom. The other interesting thing about this, though, too, with the rise of Kasich, I mean, you know, we're 24 hours away, Kasich potentially in second place. He finishes second, Rubio fades, Rubio, Cruz, Jeb, all kind of third through fifth. Who benefits the most? Donald Trump.
Yeah.
It continues to be a muddled primary. You're going to continue to have a half a dozen candidates, not just through South Carolina, but probably through Super Tuesday, benefits Donald Trump.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one. Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today, cloudy and colder with a little snow, accumulating a coating to an inch, high of 33. Tonight, breezy with a little snow at times, accumulating a coating to an inch as well. Lows in the 20s. Now a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen and Dan. On westbound 190, we're seeing delays now from just past the Kennedy Expressway to the terminal area at O'Hare. So you can soon expect those delays to affect the outbound Kennedy approaching 190. The inbound Kennedy's clear. Edens is fine. Inbound Eisenhower heavy past Cicero, where there's a stall in the right lane. No more than a 1 or 2 minute delay right now. Inbound Stevenson, it's a little congested past Pulaski. Otherwise, it's fine. Inbound Ryan has a 4-minute delay from the Stevenson to downtown. Bishop Ford, a 1 or 2 minute delay approaching the merge. Tollways are good. Northwest Indiana as well. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Hey, if you're a car enthusiast who appreciates the joy of driving a high-end performance car or never lost your passion for classic or modern muscle cars, you need to know about this Feed the Children business benefactor. With decades of experience, Comet Motorsports provides car lovers with the highest quality service and performance products available. And Comet can save you money on quality service for your pride and joy. Hey, if you own a late-model European performance or domestic muscle car, Comet can install performance tuning software to reprogram your car's computer to increase performance without sacrificing drivability. Comet is a complete tuning facility. Man, Comet even installs parts furnished by customers. If you have minor dents and dings, including hail damage, Comet can perform expert paintless dent repair to avoid bodywork and painting. Call Comet Motorsports in St. Charles at 630-584-5400 or visit CometMotorsports.com. That's Comet with a K.
When elderly family require care, you insist on local medical professionals with specialized training in home service and nursing. Alliance Home Service is a leading family alternative to nursing home and institutional care. It's critical to ask the right questions when matching a caregiver to your loved one to maintain the most positive lifestyle for your entire family. Alliance Home Service is among a select group of Chicagoland companies providing in-home non-medical care such as hygiene, medication reminders, activities and companionship, and medical care. All caregivers have the highest level of training and expertise. You'll experience the cost efficiency of in-home care as well as the level of caring you expect from family. Call founder and registered nurse Linda Weiler at 866-227-3459 or alliancecaregiver.com for no obligation family care consultation. Alliance Home Service, our family caring for your family. That's 866-227-3459 or alliancecaregiver.com.
I'm Dan Proft with an Upstream Idea brought to you by the Illinois Policy Institute. 27. Illinois state employees, on average, receive total compensation 27% higher than their private sector counterparts. State employees made nearly $4,000 more in wages and $13,000 in benefits than private sector employees. More than half of state workers will retire before the age of 60 with a guaranteed state pension. The state is in a financial death spiral with ground impact imminent. So keep this in mind as Governor Bruce Rauner breaks off contract talks with AFSCME, the state's largest public sector union. AFSCME has been unwilling to give on its demands for annual step increases of 3.8%, in addition to annual general wage increases. The lowball estimate of the cost of what AFSCME demands is $1.6 billion. That's $1.6 billion more from Illinois families who already pay the highest property taxes in the nation. This is Governor Rauner's moment of truth. He ran for office saying he is not a politician. He said he is a businessman who will make the difficult decisions to turn around the state he loves. We're about to find out if that's true. For more Upstream ideas, visit upstream-ideas.com. I'm Dan Proft.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Kristen, one of the questions that was interesting in the debate was kind of the other side of the coin of the Chris Matthews search for a Democrat who can explain to him the difference between a Democrat and a socialist in the 21st century. There is no difference. Bernie Sanders is just a Democrat in a hurry. On the Republican side, Donald Trump had Russell Kirk spinning in his grave with his answer to conservatism. In my estimation, somebody else that should have been included in the debate, in addition to Carly Fiorina, is Ben Sasse. He's the junior senator from Nebraska who, on a talk show earlier in the day, had a proper answer on what is conservatism.
Let me ask you, because a lot of people are looking to you as one of these future leaders of the conservative movement. What is a conservative in your view today? Define conservatism in the 21st century via Ben Sass.
Oh, thanks. That is a great question. America is the most exceptional nation in the history of the world because the U.S. Constitution is the best political document that's ever been written, because it says something different than almost any people and any government has believed in human history. Most governments in the past said might makes right, and the king has all the power, and the people are dependent subjects. And the American founders said no. God gives us rights by nature, and government is just our shared project to secure those rights.
Full stop. That's sufficient for me, and it also contrasts nicely with what John Kasich said in his closing remarks, or towards the end of the debate at least, which he said, "I have a conservative message and a positive message." That's the Kasich tell that he doesn't have a conservative message, because if he did, he would understand those two are not mutually exclusive.
If you suffer from depression, consider TMS, an incredible new advancement in treating and relieving depression.
I'm Gina, and I suffered with depression for 19 years. And like most people, I tried medications and I couldn't tolerate the side effects, and they never worked properly for me. TMS was a great thing. It helped me out so much. Now I have the sparkle back in my eyes, and I'm able to feel great about life again. It worked really great for me, and I would absolutely recommend it to anybody suffering with depression.
TMS, or transcranial magnetic stimulation, is a safe, non-invasive, and highly effective treatment for drug-resistant depression. Most insurance companies cover TMS, including Blue Cross Blue Shield of Illinois and Medicare. Depression can be beaten, and without drugs. To schedule a free consultation, call Theramind at 847-562-5868 or go to tmsmind.com.
Looking to secure financing on a new home or refinance your existing home, then you need to do what Amy did when she didn't have a mortgage, and that's called David Hochberg at Pearl Mortgage. Samantha, at 26, purchased a home and talked with a realtor's preferred lender who she didn't like or trust. Confused and overwhelmed, she called her mother for advice. After seeing David on TV for years and hearing him give outstanding advice when he's on the radio, Samantha's mom strongly recommended she call David because he was the only lender she trusted. David answered Samantha's questions, presented different financing options, and David, not the realtor's preferred lender, is helping Samantha secure a mortgage. David loves realtors and strongly recommends everybody use a realtor, but you're buying a home, and it's your decision which lender to use. If you're purchasing a home and want to work with an honest lender that'll always look out for your best interests, do what Amy and Samantha ultimately did. Call David, 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333, or visit am560david.com. That's am560david.com. David's helped Amy and Samantha and thousands of AM560 listeners, but he can't help you if you don't call. So call David, 312-751-1333. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186. PearlMortgage.com/licensing. Coming up, Hillary agrees to release the transcripts of her $200,000 speeches to big banks if everyone will release their transcripts of their $200,000 speeches to big banks. We'll talk about the Democrat side of the New Hampshire primary at 6:06 after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, a vigil held for a murdered Gage Park family yesterday. One killed, one injured in a Bolingbrook shooting. 4 teens were shot on a South Side porch. We'll have developments related to that story. The governor says a state-owned museum can reopen when it finds its own funding. And the Bulls are set to visit the Hornets later on tonight. Cloudy and colder with a bit of snow accumulating a coating to an inch. A complete look at weather after Fox News. WIND Chicago News Times, 6 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. They're cheering a championship in Denver. Those are Broncos fans in a bar after their team did it with defense.
They beat the Carolina Panthers 24-10. It was a defensive battle. 6 turnovers in this game, 4 of them by Carolina. Quarterback Cam Newton fumbled the ball twice on a sack. He was also intercepted once. One of those strip sacks recovered for a touchdown by Denver at Levi Stadium. Chris Honig, Fox News.
There'll be a parade tomorrow in Denver to celebrate what may have been Peyton Manning's last game. The Broncos quarterback won't say if he'll retire.
Kind of let this sink in. It's been an emotional week, emotional night.
He's the oldest quarterback to win a Super Bowl, the only one to win it with 2 different teams. Police in Mississippi still looking for suspects the day after a deadly Mardi Gras parade shooting. Fox's Evan Brown has more live.
Yeah, Dave, this was at the St. Paul Carnival in Pass Christian, Mississippi, where people usually peacefully line the streets and sit on stoops to watch the parade.
People watching, and all of a sudden the shots started ringing out. We thought it was firecrackers at first, and then quickly realized it was gunshots.
And 2 men were found shot to death minutes later. Police have no leads. 4 other people were injured. Some 50,000 were estimated to be watching the parade some 40 miles east of New Orleans, Dave.
Evan, they'll vote in New Hampshire tomorrow, so candidates are making a final push to sway the undecideds.
Health care is a right, not a privilege.
Bernie Sanders has been leading the Democrat race on the Republican side.
I'm going to say it again. The reason why these things are in trouble is because Barack Obama is the first president, at least in my lifetime, that wants to change the country.
Marco Rubio took a lot of heat from Chris Christie for saying that over and over in Saturday's debate as Christie and other candidates try to gain ground on Rubio, saying he's too rehearsed. There's a snowstorm hitting southern New England. Parts of Massachusetts have blizzard warnings. The Cape Cod area could get more than a foot of snow. Fox News Radio, fair and balanced.
Mostly cloudy skies, 29 degrees, and a bit of snow moving into the Chicagoland area at 6:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. According to London's Sun newspaper, former Chicago Police Chief Gary McCarthy, famously tough on gangs and gun crimes, is warning that the capital of England, London, should expect a shakeup if he gets their top job. On Sunday, the Sun newspaper reported how McCarthy is one of 5 foreign police bosses being touted to replace the under-fire Metropolitan Police Commissioner. They're also rumored to be in the running for that top job as New York Police Chief Bill Bratton and L.A. boss Charlie Beck. American Airlines is adding 5 new gates to O'Hare International, part of Chicago's first major airport expansion in nearly a quarter century. The airline and Chicago Mayor Rahm Emanuel's office announcing the expansion yesterday, the first such expansion at O'Hare since Terminal 5 was built in 1993. Police say 4 young people have been shot outside a home in Chicago. 1 is in critical condition. Chicago police spokesman Kevin Quaid says the shooting happened around 6 p.m. Sunday on the city's south side. Chicago's Gage Park community is still in mourning after 6 members of a family were found murdered last week in their home. Prayer vigil was held outside that family's home in the 5700 block of South California last night. Governor Bruce Rauner giving the Illinois State Museum the green light to reopen. But there's a catch. Rauner has issued an amendatory veto to a Senate bill that would welcome visitors to the museum again, but says inside that veto, the museum must find third-party funding. Veto also directs the Illinois Department of Natural Resources to charge entry fees. Broncos win the Super Bowl, beating the Panthers 24-10. Bulls head to Charlotte to clash with Michael Jordan's Hornets tonight. Blackhawks begin a 4-game homestand tomorrow night at the UC. And Peter Yawk scored 23. Number 5 Iowa over Illinois, 77-65. The news, a service of your Chicagoland JiffyLube.com. You don't have to make an appointment at Jiffy Lube. They offer more than just oil changes. So if you need a high-quality oil change, wiper blades, or any other preventative maintenance, Jiffy Lube has you covered. For more details and big savings on your service visit, check out ChicagolandJiffyLube.com. A check of traffic and weather is on the way next on AM 560.
The first votes of the 2016 campaign were finally cast in Iowa.
God bless the great state of Iowa.
And Ted Cruz emerged the winner.
Tonight is a victory for courageous conservatives across Iowa and all across this great nation.
Now the race shifts to New Hampshire.
On to New Hampshire.
And the first in the nation primary. Stay tuned to find out what happens next.
We are going to win this election for this country.
On your election station, AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. You know, nothing frustrates me more than liberal hypocrisy. Take our food, for example. You know, the left claims to care about the poor and the environment, but guess what? They're waging a silent war against America's farmers that is making our food supply more costly and less sustainable. America's family farmers are producing more food using less land and fewer resources than ever before. Now, they should be cheered, but instead, radical groups are working with government bureaucrats to crack down on our farmers and limit the tools and technology that they're allowed to use. Now, the result is higher food costs for you, the American consumer, and low-income families, they're hit the hardest. Now, thankfully, someone is fighting back. Protect the Harvest is a national coalition working to defend modern American agriculture. You can check them out at protecttheharvest.com and follow them on Facebook to get the very latest news and see how you can help. Don't let radical activists control your family's food choices. Visit protecttheharvest.com today.
Uber is an app that helps you make extra money just for driving your car. And because it's totally flexible, you don't have to quit your day job to make more money, because you can drive and earn whenever you want. There are 3 simple steps to start making money. First, sign up for free on your phone. Second, answer a few questions and get approved. And third, start driving. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
6:07 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center, and here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Metra is telling passengers to expect delays on the BNSF line this morning. An equipment train has derailed east of Naperville. So as the rush hour progresses, we're told delay times may increase. Right now, delays are an estimated 20 to 40 minutes on the BNSF line. Kennedy outbound slows central to 190. It's 27 minutes downtown to O'Hare. Then on 190, stop and go from the Kennedy to the terminal area. Inbound Kennedy is still good. The Edens is fine. Inbound Eisenhower, just a little heavy past Manheim. The Stevenson, a little slowing in Pulaski and Kedzie. The Ryan has a 4-minute delay entering downtown. Traffic is a service of Aurora University Online Learning. Pursue your passion with a degree from Aurora University Online. Choose from fully online programs in accounting, business, education, criminal justice, general studies, integrated communication, nursing, and social work. To learn more, visit online.aurora.edu. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the AirComfort.com Weather Center. AirComfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
A little snow accumulating a coating 2 inches today with a high 33. Breezy with a little snow accumulating a coating 2 inches tonight with a low 20. Wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour near the lake. A bit of snow accumulating a coating 2 inches tomorrow, high 24. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
29 at O'Hare, 32 along the lakefront, and light snow moving into the area. Your next news update is at 6:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy. Kristen McQuarrie sitting with us this morning on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by DS Arms Pro Shop and Factory Showroom in Lake Barrington. Much more than a gun store. Visit dsarms.com for more information.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
A final star turn. It is for Peyton. And the Denver Broncos have taken Super Bowl 50.
Here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
He knows exactly
there it is,
what he's
the memorized 25-second speech.
How tough is it to take property from an elderly woman? Let me talk. Quiet. How tough is it?
A lot of time. And just remember, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan Proft. And in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Kristen, thanks for bringing in the coffee cake. It's very
You're
good.
welcome.
Yeah.
I didn't want any complaints, Like John Cass, when he was here before, was complaining that you didn't have a sandwich for him.
Right.
He was so hungry in the morning.
Yeah, and John Cass should know there's a special place in hell for guest hosts who don't bring in food for the host.
Yes.
So you understand that.
I do. I always bring in a little something.
No, I appreciate that. That left over from your Super Bowl fixins, I presume.
Well, if I brought leftovers, it probably would have been wings and guac. I didn't really think that'd be a good morning breakfast food for you.
And that's where you're wrong. That would have been it would have been delightful.
Ugh.
That was you had a Super Bowl party at your well-appointed compound on the south side.
Not a party. We didn't have anyone over. It was just the family.
Oh, okay.
Grilled out, watched the game. That was about it. In bed by 9:30. It's a wild life I lead.
Yeah, it is fascinating. Don't leave any details out. A roller coaster you're taking us on. Well, not everybody's watching the Super Bowl because you have politicians that are out campaigning for votes and having town hall meetings and bringing in Madeleine Albright. And I got to say, look, Chris, we are both noted feminists, right? So, but are you getting a little bit tired of being beaten about the head and neck area with the gender card by Hillary Clinton? Are you getting a little tired of it? Because I know I am.
I despise it.
Yeah.
I despise every part of the gender politics, even when it comes to abortion or, you couldn't possibly be a woman and be pro-life. And yes, this latest push that I think there's a special place in hell for me because I won't support Hillary Clinton for president.
We can tell our story about how we climbed the ladder, and a lot of you younger women don't think you have to. It's been done. It's not done, and you have to help. Hillary Clinton will always be there for you, and just remember, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other.
That was Gargamel from the Smurfs or Madeleine Albright. They're indistinguishable. Here's the problem with Madeleine Albright trotting out these old feminist war horses, these kind of the man-hating feminist war horses, as Camille Paglia has so persuasively written about. Not connecting, because there's an interesting piece over the weekend in the Washington Post that Hillary is having problems unifying the sisterhood of the traveling pantsuit. In pertinent part, just a couple examples. One woman told these reporters for the Washington Post, "My concern is that your answer. My concern is that your answer that nothing new was found in the Benghazi hearings continues to give me some doubts. Everybody knows you can't write 30,000 emails to your yoga instructor." Another woman said Clinton is too buttoned up and rehearsed. And then there's answers like this. And this is, to the issue of men, men and women, young and old, these answers that she gives. The question that was asked in the Democrat debate last week about Hillary Clinton's speaking fees.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, she's Cassandra. She went to the big banks at $200K a pop to warn them that the bubble is about to burst because of their mortgage shenanigans.
She wagged her finger at them, didn't she?
Yeah.
And for $500,000.
And Chuck Todd, $675 in total, but I mean, who's counting except the Clinton Foundation? Chuck Todd asked her if she'll release the transcripts. So she was asked on the Sunday talk shows about that again. Will you release the transcripts of those talks? In the debate, she said she'll look into it. Now she's saying this. This is great. Let everybody who's ever given any speech to a private group under any circumstances release them. We'll all release them at the same time. Sometimes, the rules need to apply to everybody. If the rules apply to everybody, then I'll be happy to look into it further, said Hillary Clinton on ABC's This Week. Yeah. So if Bernie Sanders releases the transcripts to all of his $200,000 speeches to Goldman Sachs, that she'll release her
$500.
Who's
$495.
Who's everybody? Everybody is Bernie Sanders. That guy, nobody pays him $200 to give a speech until he ran for president. And even if he did, he says the same thing over and over again. Bernie Sanders is nothing if not consistent for the last 25 years being a socialist.
True. So here's what I don't understand. If this was a stump speech that she gave on a pretty regular basis to all of these groups, why don't we have video? Why don't we have, were there no reporters in the room? I mean,
it's a private speech. I mean, it's a private group. There may not have been reporters, but here's something else. Think about the timing of this. She's a U.S. Senator from New York. Then she's a 2008 presidential candidate running in 2007. So she went to the big banks to warn them about the collapse because of their mortgage shenanigans. This is somebody who pretends like she represents Wall Street, has a clue what they're talking about. Mrs. Cattle Futures all over again. She's going to warn them, but she didn't want to tell the public. She didn't want to scare the public, so that's why she didn't include it in any speeches on the Senate floor, any campaign stops. Right? Do you believe that, or do you believe this? Hillary Clinton finds you, American family, disgusting. She's not part of the establishment. She is post-establishment. She is sui generis. She's a category unto herself. She despises you, and she despises that she has to indulge these kind of questions and accountability for anything she's done as a senator, as a Clinton Foundation principal, as a Secretary of State, as in terms of part of that being part of the pathway to power. That's who Hillary Clinton is. She's an inveterate liar. So vote for Hillary Clinton if you want, Cackle Caucus members, but don't pretend that you have any self-respect if you do. And that's men or women.
I guess the best way to neutralize all of her feminist arguments and her Wall Street arguments is for Republicans to nominate Carly Fiorina, because then you automatically, cut her off at the kinkles.
Oh, meow! Wow, that's going to generate letters.
But I mean, so I don't know how much this is going to stick. Is my question. This is a great argument against her in New Hampshire, against Bernie, because it, plays her out to be kind of more of an insider than she already is, and in with Wall Street and the big banks, and it plays perfectly into that line of arguing. But I just don't know beyond New Hampshire if people are really going to care that much.
Well, I think it all goes to the trust issue. I mean, all of these things go to, maybe I'm not in the weeds on the emails. Maybe I'm not in the weeds on the Clinton Foundation shenanigans, to borrow a word. Maybe I'm not in the weeds with respect to her speaking fees or Clinton speaking or her husband's speaking fees. But it just creates this overall sense that this is an amoral predator who will do anything, say anything to get where she wants to be financially, politically, and in every other way. And if that means she has to roll over me and my interests, not a problem. So is that the kind of person you want in the White House? That's the kind of person I want in the big house, and we're still waiting on the conclusion of that FBI investigation. But here's something else. You think this is just all kind of right-wing ranting, some of you probably. From the Hill over the weekend, Democrat donor contacts Biden allies about possible run. Prominent Democrat donor worried about the party's chances of winning the presidency emailed dozens of fans of Vice President Biden on Friday, urging them to remain prepared to donate if Biden jumps into the race. The donor is a guy named Bill Bartman, who cited some recent polling of Bernie Sanders, his 2-1 lead being eroded in Vermont, in New Hampshire a little bit. But the bottom line is just kind of, this is an assessment of where this big Democrat donor believes Hillary Clinton and the party to be, with a wounded Hillary, or, a raving socialist who in 25 years in the Senate was the chief sponsor of 3 bills, 2 of which were to rename post offices in Vermont. So there are your choices, Democrat Party. You can understand why, if you're a big Democrat donor or power broker, you're a little bit jumpy right about now.
Well, I always thought O'Malley was kind of playing that role of being in the race just to a point where, just in case she gets indicted, or just in case the FBI finally actually does something. But he's out, so
Martin O'Malley's out, and Hillary is down right now. Not that she hasn't gotten up before, but she's down right now.
Vast right-wing conspiracy.
You mean shenanigans?
You're listening to Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today: cloudy and colder with a little snow, accumulating a coating to an inch, high of 33. Tonight, breezy, also a little snow at times, low in the 20s. Now for a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. South side of Chicago, there's a bungalow fire, 106th and Indiana. Palatine Dundee is now completely open at Northwest Highway. There was an earlier crash and investigation. Metro has delays on the BNSF line. There are problems because there was a derailed equipment train east of Naperville. All outbound trains right now, we're told, are going to be terminating at Lyle, and you can expect at least 20 to 40-minute delays. Metro is advising commuters to seek alternate transportation off the BNSF line. Eden's inbound, slow Peterson to the junction, 21 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose, clear outbound. Kennedy, 21 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 29. Delays from Central to O'Hare, and there are delays on westbound 190 as well. The Eisenhower, just 31 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound still good. Stevenson, 36 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan is 19 minutes, 95th to downtown. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
Valentine's Day is this Sunday. Of course it is. You don't think I'm on top of that. This year, give your sweetheart rich chocolatey brownies from the Vermont Brownie Company, featuring decadent flavors like dark chocolate with just a touch of sea salt, buttery maple toffee, and walnut chunk. These brownies are ridiculously good. But don't just take my word for it. Vermont Brownie is so extraordinary, it beat world-famous chef Bobby Flay from the Food Network. Surprise and delight your Valentine with a sampler pack of some of the best brownies she'll ever taste. Why is it only for she? I want brownies. They're baked using farm-fresh ingredients that's bliss in every bite. To order and save 10%, use the code 2000. Save 10%, use the code 2000. Your gift comes specially packaged with a free personalized gift card. So go ahead, indulge. What are you waiting for? To give the sweetest gift for under $20, use code 2000 at checkout. That's code 2000 to save 10% at vermontbrownie.com. Delivery guaranteed. Offer ends soon.
Hey, protecting your family and Second Amendment rights is important. You need the proper equipment and training from DS Arms. As an actual manufacturer of AR-15 and FNFAL-type rifles, they also stock all major brands of firearms, including handguns and every accessory imaginable for self-defense, target shooting, and hunting. Ladies, get your concealed carry license plus basic and advanced training in a family-friendly environment with girlfriends, loved ones, even mom. Everything's provided, including a firearm for only $225 for custom rifles made in America or concealed carry firearms training classes. Make DS Arms your team. It's great being an American and supporting your Second Amendment rights and American manufacturing jobs. With nearly 3 decades of experience, DS Arms has you covered. DS Arms, much more than a gun store. It's easy to reach in Lake Barrington, just off of Route 14 and Pepper Road. Call 847-277-7260 or visit DSArms.com.
I've been taking it, and I'm actually feeling better. I know that I'm not coughing anymore, and I was coughing all the time.
I notice my body feels better.
I have diabetes. I had my blood work done, and I had really good numbers.
I want to thank you for your product and all that. It's been great.
I got my kids taking them now. Got my parents taking them. My brothers, my best friends. Got everybody on them.
I love the product, and I love Dr. Howard. I trust him. I feel safe. I think his product is superb. I'm going to continue with it.
Get started early on your New Year's resolution with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. We're talking about the Dem primary tomorrow. Bernie Sanders has had his lead winnowed down a bit by Hillary, but he's still double figures in New Hampshire, according to the Real Clear Politics polling average. And, the question, of course, for Bernie is, can he keep the momentum up if he wins New Hampshire, if he has a decisive victory there into states that have a much more significant African-American vote, in particular in the Democrat primary, and where Hillary enjoys a big lead. But she's enjoyed big leads over Bernie Sanders nationally that have shrunk to a dead heat, and in Iowa and New Hampshire, and all of those leads are gone. what's to say they can't go away in some of the southern states, too?
I just don't see it. I mean, Bernie Sanders is, in my opinion, he's loony. He's talking about programs that would cost trillions of dollars per year. They're not going to be covered with his tax plan. There has to be a more logical, centrist Democrat, I think, in the next in South Carolina and in Super Tuesday states, where people are going to realize, yes, this has been kind of entertaining, almost like Trump on the right, but just illogical. I don't see him having any sort of lasting impact beyond tomorrow.
Why doesn't somebody in the press, one of these moderators, like a kind of an ornery type like Martha Raddatz, who's so good at trying to gotcha Republicans, press them? Why not press Bernie Sanders on his, whimsical, everything is free under the sun, and we're just going to make millionaires and billionaires pay for it, by suggesting to him something that happens to be true. If you confiscated the wealth of all the millionaires and billionaires in this country, you'd fund the federal government at its current spending level for all of 6 months.
Mm-hmm.
So then what else you got, right? So this is one of the middle-income, working-income families. When you hear the likes of a Bernie Sanders say, we're going to hammer millionaires and billionaires, understand that the programs they want to hammer millionaires and billionaires to fund are ultimately going to fall on your backs to fund, because that's where the real money is.
Class warfare works, though. That's the sad thing, is, punishing millionaires and billionaires, many of whom are self-made, great American stories. It works in this country, and it's sad that it does, because some of Bernie's plans would tax I think it is, once we get into the billionaire, but up to 85% of their income.
Sure.
I mean, that is un-American.
And and then they can't skirt American tax laws, so they won't just offshore their income and make this country less productive and less wealthy. Actually, Chris Christie had a great riff on this during the debate, the Republican debate, on Saturday night. He talked about the experience of New Jersey when John Corzine tried to stick it to millionaires in New Jersey, and they lost $70 billion in revenue during the duration of that millionaire tax. So, people respond to the incentives you present them. Holly and Hudson, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
First, I'd like to say I really am a woman, but I have a cold, so I don't want you to think that I'm doing any transgender support here for Hillary.
We stipulate that you're a woman, yes.
Yes, thank you. I'd like to make comments. One, the Democrats did not start trotting out this vote for me, I'm a woman, until they were certain that Carly Fiorina was done so. Secondly, I think the camera angle at the debate, Rubio between Bush and Trump, was far more damaging than anything Rubio said. He looked like a little kid in between two grown men, and they kept showing that angle of the debate, and I thought it just drove home everyone's point, the boy in the bubble.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Holly. It's interesting. Rubio he comes across as like the excited little kid who's plaintive almost with everything he says, even his good answers. They're answers we've heard before from other people. And I'm not saying every answer, every position has to be something new. Sometimes the tried and true is appropriate. But I just go back again. The image, Cruz and Rubio, they're the same age. They're 6 months apart. And Cruz, doesn't he seem like he's 20 years older?
He does. And I have to agree with Holly. In watching the debate, he for some reason, standing, in between two very tall men and the camera angle, He looked like a teenager. And I wouldn't say he always comes across to me as excited. He comes across to me as just really intense and too canned, that was his whole performance.
Certainly the takeaway from Saturday night. Zach in Downers Grove.
Yeah, I just want to know your guys' opinion, how our fellow Americans can be so dumb to even put numbers up like they have for Hillary.
Yeah.
I don't get how somebody who can be so distraught for our country.
Thanks for the call, Zach. Thanks for the call. I mean, in terms of Hillary voters, you just basically have Democrat-based voters who say she's our best chance. I'm a Democrat. I support these policies even if I don't like the person who's the conduit for them, so I'm sticking with my party. I mean, that's the only real explanation. I think she's I think she's basically going to get, if she's the nominee, Democrat-based vote and not much more.
This is the morning show more Chicago radio listeners are choosing. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
You're a physician, a nurse, or in the medical field. You have a sick patient who requires a custom, non-sterile compounded medication. This is some big news. You can refer with confidence your patients to Martin Avenue Pharmacy in Naperville, the first and only compounding pharmacy in DuPage, Kane, Kendall, LaSalle, DeKalb, and Western Will County to earn the Pharmacy Compounding Accreditation Board's seal of accreditation. The first and only. Patients and medical professionals want to know their compounding pharmacy is of the highest quality and has been independently verified. PCAB offers patients and medical professionals a way to verify that their compounding pharmacy is meeting the very highest and strictest national standards. When you know the difference, it makes a difference. Martin Avenue Pharmacy in Naperville, a PCAB accredited compounding pharmacy, 630-355-6400, or go to martinavenue.com.
We make it better, like nobody else. We make it better, Martin Avenue.
Running a business can be challenging, especially here in Illinois. You face mountains of regulations on top of mountains of taxes and fees, not to mention new Obamacare requirements. Business owners who manage to survive and thrive deserve to be recognized. And that's exactly what we here at AM 560 The Answer are going to do. This spring, we'll be hitting the road on the AM 560 Business Tour presented by Signature Bank. That's where I do my business banking. It's a way for us to celebrate local businesses who are overcoming the odds and succeeding in spite of the many challenges they face. We want to give back to the business community by broadcasting this show live from various locations throughout Chicagoland. Does your business have a great success story? If so, we want to hear about it. Go to 560theanswer.com/business. Fill out the brief form to tell us about how you and your business are beating the odds to serve your clients and your community. We'll select several businesses as stops on our AM 560 Business Tour, and we'll broadcast from your location to share your success story with our audience. We hope to inspire other business owners and show the world that, yes, you did build that. So go to 560theanswer.com/business to tell us your story. And we may be stopping at your location this spring on the AM 560 Business Tour. Coming up, we'll talk Republican debate and prospectively about tomorrow's primary in New Hampshire with Michael Barone from the Washington Examiner. That's at 6:36 after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, good morning. 32 right now. Denver Broncos fans, well, they're celebrating their team's dominating 24-10 win over Carolina. Bronco quarterback Peyton Manning lifting the Lombardi trophy for the second time in what may have been his final game.
My plan was to try to win this game tonight and to really take it all in and to enjoy being a part of this journey. And it's definitely been a heck of a ride this season. It's been unique, and I think just having a great faith has helped, and our whole team and for me. And so I'm taking it one night at a time.
In an interview with the NFL Network, Archie Manning, Peyton's dad, said if he does play next season, it likely will not be with Denver. The front-runner in the New Hampshire primary is hoping that translates to winning a number of votes. Donald Trump says he really doesn't need to win, but would like to.
I actually think I have the best temperament. I built a massive corporation. I employ thousands and thousands of people. I've gotten along with people for years and years, have tremendous relationships with many people, including politicians on both sides.
Rival Republican candidates like Jeb Bush say their campaigns go on no matter what. On the Democratic side, Hillary Clinton facing a huge uphill battle against Bernie Sanders and brought out former President Bill Clinton to knock the Vermont senator over the weekend as hypocritical and dishonest.
Anybody that takes money from Goldman Sachs couldn't possibly be president. He may have to tweak that answer a little bit. Either that or we're going to have to get us a write-in candidate.
Hillary Clinton looking ahead to South Carolina and Nevada to head off the surging Sanders. Michigan Governor Rick Snyder will not be in front of a U.S. House committee this week, declining an invitation to testify about the Flint water crisis. Chipotle closing all of its restaurants for a few hours this morning. The Mexican fast food casual chain pushes back the opening start so employees can attend mandatory meetings on food safety. According to London Sun newspaper, former Chicago Police Chief Gary McCarthy could be on tap for the top job for the Metropolitan.
Take that job and shove it. You ain't working here no more. Professor Hawkins, you forgot the statement of faith you signed 9 years before. Wheaton College sincerely appreciates the contributions, but over there's the door. Take that job and shove it. You ain't working here no more.
And the John Hancock Center has died. John Tishman died over the weekend at his home in New York City. He built Chicago's Hancock Center and Lower Manhattan's World Trade Center towers and other skyline-defining buildings like the Renaissance Center in Detroit. He also built Epcot at Disney. John Tishman was 90. Chicago sports, Broncos over the Panthers, 24-10. Bulls head to Charlotte tonight to clash with the Hornets. And the news is a service of Jewel Osco. Catch the savings at your local Jewel Osco store through Wednesday. Get 2 6-ounce signature Atlantic salmon fillets for $7. Don't miss a sweet deal on California Cuties or Halo Clementines. 5-pound box, $3.99. 6:35, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Dennis Prager gives an overview of the shift in American politics.
There is really no symmetry. There's no mirror image here. To a large extent, the Republicans have essentially the view of the world that John F. Kennedy had, who was a liberal Democrat. And now a man who was a lifelong socialist may get the nomination, or at least is extremely popular among Democrats.
The Dennis Prager Show. Weekdays at 11, right before Sean Hannity at 2 on AM 560. The Answer.
Listen to AM 560 on your mobile device. Now available on iHeartRadio. Online at iHeartRadio.com.
Valentine's Day is this week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing deal. 2 dozen assorted roses plus a free glass vase for just $29.99. Go to proflowers.com, click on the microphone in the right corner, and enter code 1515. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. Imagine her delight when 2 dozen gorgeous assorted roses arrive. And for such an amazing price, it's a win-win. Order now from Pro Flowers. You pick the delivery date, and it's guaranteed. 2 dozen stunning assorted roses, guaranteed to stay fresh and beautiful for at least 7 days for $29.99. And will include a vase for free. Fresh flowers, guaranteed delivery, and add-ons to complete your gift. Pro Flowers has everything you need to win Valentine's Day. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. The only way to get this amazing Valentine's Day deal is to visit proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 1515. That's proflowers.com, secret code 1515.
When's the last time you saw a pay raise? For many Illinois families, it's been years, unless you work for state government. AFSCME workers have seen their salaries grow 5 times faster than Illinois workers' median earnings over the last decade. And they get Cadillac health insurance that most Illinois families can't afford. But that's not enough for Illinois government workers. They're demanding more, $3 billion more. Enough is enough. It's time to stand up for Illinois taxpayers. Learn more and make your voice heard at illinoispolicy.org. Illinois' political class is crushing Illinois families. Illinoisans struggle to find good jobs and schools, and they struggle to pay for government workers who retire in their 50s and earn millions in retirement. Illinois Policy fights against the Springfield status quo on behalf of all families, not just the politically connected. See what Illinois' political class doesn't want you to read at illinoispolicy.org. Illinois Policy, Illinois' comeback story starts here.
6:38. Let's get an update on the roads in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. Here's Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Metro has delays on the BNSF line this morning. Outbound trains are terminating at Lyle after an equipment train derailed in that area. Eden's inbound heavy Peterson to the junction. 21 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose. Well, just ticked up 26 minutes now with delays starting at Pratt. Snow is becoming a factor now on the area roads. Kennedy, 28 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 36. Very slow from Montrose all the way to the airport. Eisenhower is 40 minutes. Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 31. Stevenson, 41 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Rhine is 19 minutes, 95th to downtown.
Marco Rubio ran for Senate, saying he opposed amnesty. Then he broke his promise, joining with liberal Democrats to co-author.
So if you need a high-quality oil.
What do you list as Marco Rubio's top accomplishment that made you decide to endorse him?
I guess it's hard to say they're accomplishments, and I'll ask it one more time.
Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte. AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast. From the AirComfort.com Weather Center, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy, bit of snow, coating to an inch, expected high 33. 29 at O'Hare, next news at 7. And Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by RadioPlumbingDeals.com. Have a plumbing problem? Get the best plumbers in Chicagoland and massive discounts at RadioPlumbingDeals.com.
Your money. Find out how to keep more of it and live debt-free. Tonight on The Dave Ramsey Show, starting at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Chicago Tribune editorial board Kristen McQuarrie, editorial board member. And Kristen, before the debate, Jeb Bush had both barrels trained on Marco Rubio, both his Right to Rise super PAC as well as the Bush campaign itself, targeting Rubio, contrasting Jeb to Rubio. And it turns out after the debate, maybe Jeb was doing John Kasich's dirty work per Rubio's performance. Interestingly, prior to the debate, you saw stories in The Hill and elsewhere that Republican insider types wanted Jeb to back off on Rubio because he was rising, and this is where everybody was going to consolidate around Marco Rubio, and he's going to be the consensus candidate to stop Cruz and Trump, don't you know? And then he had the debate. And it went differently. But here's Jeb making the case against Rubio.
Marco Rubio ran for Senate, saying he opposed amnesty. Then he broke his promise, joining with liberal Democrats to co-author the Path to Citizenship bill.
His fingerprints are all over that bill.
Rubio joked.
Actually, I changed my mind. No, I'm kidding.
Only he wasn't.
Not again.
He's flipped on his own bill, now telling us.
When I'm president, there will be no amnesty.
But with his record on immigration, how can we trust Rubio on anything? Right to Rise USA is responsible.
So it's Rubio being a little shaky in addition to a little flip-floppy, and then the Jeb comparison to Rubio.
What do you list as Marco Rubio's top accomplishment that made you decide to endorse him?
I guess it's hard to say their accomplishments.
And I'll ask it one more time. List one accomplishment that Marco Rubio has achieved in 4 years of the United States Senate.
Jeb Bush ran Florida. Marco Rubio finished the sentence.
Well, I mean, I would just say that there's a guy who's been able to, number one, the bottom line is he didn't get accomplishments done, neither did President Obama.
Yeah, note to Rubio campaign, do not use Rick Santorum as a surrogate. Not helping. Does Rubio's debate performance change the state of play in the GOP race? To answer that question and many more, we're now joined by our friend Michael Barone, senior political analyst for the Washington Examiner. Michael, thanks so much for joining us.
Very nice to be with you, and we'll have an answer to that on Wednesday.
Well, yes, we'll have an answer to that Wednesday, but you get paid big bucks to tell us what the answer is on Monday. And so it does seem from some of the tracking polls that Rubio's momentum has been stopped based on the coverage of the debate and what the Washington press corps is saying happened, which is essentially a Rubio meltdown, exposing Rubio as a talking points automaton. Is that fair, or is this moment that Rubio had with Christie in the debate being overblown?
I think that it's probably somewhat overblown. I don't think that we've got evidence that Rubio's momentum, if such there was, has been stopped. And the reason is that we simply don't have evidence one way or the other. The debate was Saturday night. That's not going to be reflected in polling that was conducted on Saturday night. Because the debate can start till 8:30 and people stop polling at 9, okay? How about Sunday night polling? Sunday night was the Super Bowl. You don't poll on Super Bowl night, or if you do, you've got no assurance that you're going to get a representative sample. It's like polling on Christmas. So the answer is that in fact, we don't know for sure. I'm in New Hampshire now. I got evidence yesterday that this was no big deal for Rubio, and he's still got a lot of enthusiasm. He's drawn big crowds, 500 people at a 5:30 event in Manchester, for example, that was not really advertised. On the other hand, you get evidence from people that, they go door to door knocking and they hear, for Jeb Bush, and they don't hear much that's positive about Rubio. Now, one thing that's always true about campaigning, or almost always true, is that when you announce that you're working for one candidate, you don't hear bad things about that candidate from people. They don't say, "Oh, I hate your candidate." They just say, "Gee, I haven't decided yet." So the answer is, I think that it may have hurt him. I think that reporters may be somewhat exaggerating the effect of this debate because we've been watching this closely. We have noted that Rubio is a well-prepared candidate and that he tends to say the same thing at multiple appearances. We get tired of that if you go to the multiple appearances. Ordinary voters are not as aware of that. They are not following it that closely, not even in New Hampshire. You find some people that are, but not. So I think that there's a certain amount of exaggeration. I will say this. I think that Rubio's getting a real testing. For those who believe that he's the, likeliest nominee, whose name is not Ted Cruz or Donald Trump, he's getting a real testing here. And if he comes out of it with a creditable second-place showing to Trump, I think that he's well established as a serious candidate.
So, Michael, tell us a little bit about how you think John Kasich is going to do. He's already said if he doesn't do well, he's out. But he's spent the most time there. He says it's going to be hard for other candidates to catch up. You simply can't catch up in a state like New Hampshire. How do you think he's going to fare? And if he does not do well and he gets out, who else might we see drop out?
Well, you've got, Kasich has put all his marbles on New Hampshire. He's got a campaign manager, John Weaver, who worked back for John McCain in 2000, for John Huntsman in 2012. And John Weaver managed candidates tend to run against the Republican Party, and they say to people in New Hampshire, I'm the least bad Republican candidate. And a voter told me that about Huntsman 4 years ago. They're all so obnoxious, but he's a little more thoughtful, and he was endorsed by the New York Times.
Right.
Kasich's got an appealing personality more than Huntsman did, in my view. If you look at his polling, though, his highest poll numbers and those that prop up his polling average come from a polling firm called ARG. ARG does not have a good record, and ARG tends to have a sample that includes about an unusually high percentage of decline to state. That is, people who are not registered Republicans voting in the Republican primary.
Well,
that percentage tends not to be achieved.
And that's what Kasich essentially joked over the weekend, is maybe I should be running in the Democrat primary because so many Democrats are coming up to me and saying, I support you. But here's the thing.
That's a brilliant way to win Republican votes, by the way.
Well, yeah, no, exactly. I know. Well, another way is in it.
People that like Obama like me.
Yeah, another way is, as Kasich did in the debate, say I have a conservative message and a positive message, as if the two are mutually exclusive. But here's
he did nice.
But here's the question about New Hampshire specifically. The interesting wrinkle about New Hampshire: 40% of those expected to turn out are undeclared. It's an open primary. So if the people perceive there's more action on the Republican side, you could have leaners go to vote in the Republican primary, expand the universe in that primary, and potentially benefit a candidate like Kasich.
Well, you've always had a certain number of decline to states. One of the things about New England party registration, and people say, well, there's so many independents, they're not registered Republicans. You don't bother registering in a party unless you're going to vote in the primary. And so first-time primary voters are going to be declined to states or disproportionately, almost by definition. I'm not sure that it means that they are, middle of the roaders or crypto Democrats or less conservative. I think that the argument there is exaggerated. But look, it's like the Iowa caucuses. Most of us thought that if the Iowa caucus electorate was vastly expanded, it would have a lower percentage of evangelical Protestants. 2012, it had the highest percentage of evangelical Protestants, so the Republican electorate outside the South. Well, the Iowa electorate was vastly expanded from 122,000 to 186,000, and it had a higher percentage of evangelical Protestants. So one thing polling doesn't tell us is turnout. When you say the turnout's projected to be such and such, that's a guess.
Well, sure.
And some of those guesses have turned out to be wrong so far in Iowa in this cycle.
Do you think that in both primaries, it's a question from first place to second place. It's just a question of margin and thus the narrative coming out, not a question of if it's going to be Trump and if it's going to be Sanders.
Well, it looks, all the polling tells us that Trump is out in front. You do have a certain number of undecideds, and I think that a number of potential second-place candidates, including but not limited to Rubio and Kasich, think, hey, I can, overtake Trump or at least get pretty close to him. And we saw, we've seen candidates do that with a bounce off Iowa. Gary Hart, Democratic primary in 1984, 16% in Iowa. Walter Mondale had 50%, and guess what? Gary Hart won New Hampshire. So you can get a certain amount of turnaround in New Hampshire. It's a large electorate, unlike Iowa, typically. It's not a caucus where you had 186,000 people vote in a state of 3 million. It is a primary where you're likely to have, where you've had past 227,000 voting in a state of 1,300,000.
All right, he is Michael Barone, senior political analyst for the Washington Examiner. Michael, thanks always for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. Take care.
And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Listen to Dan and Amy on your smartphone. Download the AM560 mobile app today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Your forecast today, cloudy and colder with a light dusting of snow, high of 33. Tonight, breezy with a little snow at times, accumulating to a coating or possibly an inch. Lows in the 20s. Now a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Christian and Dan. Metro reports delays on the BNSF line this morning after an equipment train derailed east of Naperville. And in fact, outbound trains on the BNSF line are terminating at Niles. Check that at Lyle. The Edens inbound has delays from Pratt to the junction. 26 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound 21. Kennedy, with the snow becoming a factor. Now 37 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 34. The Eisenhower, 42 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 31. Stevenson, 42 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan is 23 minutes, 95 to downtown. I-57, 20 minutes, I-80 to the Merge, Bishop Ford 19. Eastbound Adams Tollway, it is stop and go from Barrington Road to 53. 53 has delays from the Adams Tollway to Pass Golf Road. Traffic Answers. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
I'm Lou Dobbs. Janet Yellen speaks to Congress this week, and we wait for more data that could influence the direction of markets, including the latest on petroleum inventories. Those stories next.
We all want our families to be taken care of if something happens to us. But finding the right life insurance policy can be tricky. Most people don't shop around for the best value. That's where SelectQuote comes in. SelectQuote is your personal life insurance guide. They help you navigate the life insurance process from start to finish. First, how much coverage do you really need? Is there a mortgage, outstanding loans, kids' college to pay for? Then, SelectQuote shops the highly rated companies they represent to find you the best value. Different companies quote different prices for the same person. If you don't have multiple quotes, you might as well be picking blindly. SelectQuote gives you options. You make the decision. Call SelectQuote now at 1-800-657-4570. That's 1-800-657-4570. Or get started at SelectQuote.com. 1-800-657-4570. SelectQuote. We shop, you save.
Investors hope to get some signal about the direction of interest rates when Fed Chair Janet Yellen delivers her semi-annual monetary report to Congress midweek. Looking ahead, this week we'll have the latest information on petroleum inventories. Crude oil prices have been driving wild market volatility lately. Also, the Labor Department reporting the latest on job openings and labor turnover. We'll also learn the latest on retail sales, import and export prices, business inventories, and consumer confidence. And does your iPhone have a cracked screen or broken buttons? Apple says you can now trade it in for an upgrade. The move comes as the smartphone market seems to have matured, Apple relying on the iPhone for 2/3 of its revenue. Please join me for Lou Dobbs tonight, 7 and 11 Eastern on the Fox Business Network. This is the Lou Dobbs Financial Report.
The stories you need to know to start your day. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
If your company needs custom metal fabrication products, then you should know AM 560 Feed the Children business benefactor Lockport Steel Fabricators. For over 7 decades, from the smallest project to major commercial construction, Lockport Steel's family of companies has excelled at manufacturing a diverse product mix, including structural steel, miscellaneous metals, aluminum extrusions, and more. Imagine the peace of mind knowing you're working with a national company that's AISC certified right here in Chicagoland. Customers know Lockport Steel focuses on getting your job done right, on time, and to exact needs and specs. Immediate turnaround service is also available. Discover why all types of major industries, including oil and gas, power generation, telecommunications, store fixtures, and commercial construction companies, trust Lockport Steel to make it happen for them. Visit lockportsteel.com or call Greg Radecki today at 815-927-4401 for a no obligation quote and consultation. Lockport Steel Fabricators, making it happen. That's lockportsteel.com.
My name is David Hochberg, and I'm Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. That's right, I'm now Vice President of Lending at Pearl Mortgage. If you're looking to purchase a new home or refinance your existing home, give me a call. I'm the same guy that's provided listeners with honest advice and outstanding customer service for the past 13 years. The only thing that's changed is where I work. When you had questions about purchasing a home, you called me and I helped you. When you and your parents had questions about reverse mortgages, you called me and I helped you. When you needed help refinancing to lower your mortgage payments so you could afford the home after your spouse passed away, you called me and I helped you. If you'd like to talk to me about a mortgage, give me a call at 312-751-1333. That's 312-751-1333. Email me, David at pearldavid.com. That's David at PERLDavid.com. Or visit my website, am560david.com. Pearl Mortgage is an equal housing lender, Illinois residential mortgage licensee, 4358, licensed by DBO under California RMLA and MLS 19186, pearlmortgage.com licensing.
For me, it was the big S-Class from the 90s. Beautiful. My friend's dad had one.
The SL. All of the SLs. I've been watching those since I was a kid.
I think the 1971 SE was the first Mercedes that just blew me away.
Everyone remembers the first time they saw one, and the day they began to long for a Mercedes-Benz of their own. Well, that day may be a lot closer than you think. With a certified pre-owned Mercedes-Benz, you can experience the luxury, the unparalleled safety, the performance, and the style Mercedes-Benz is famous for at a price you can afford. Beautiful SUVs, sedans, coupes, and convertibles that are factory certified and covered by an unlimited mileage warranty for up to 3 years, so you can drive without a worry for as far as you like. And during the certified pre-owned sales event going on now through February 29th, you can receive 2 years of complimentary prepaid maintenance and special financing available through Mercedes-Benz Financial Services, only at your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer. You've waited long enough.
See your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer for complete details and limitations on certified pre-owned warranties.
Dan, and in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie from the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Coming up, will you let your kid grow up to be the next Peyton Manning? 31% of parents say no. What say you? We'll take your answers at 7:07 after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, a vigil held for a murdered Gage Park family. 1 killed and 1 injured in a Bolingbrook shooting. We'll have an update on that story. 14 shot while on a Southside porch. There will be a retrial for Curtis Lovelace, scheduled after a mistrial in that murder case. More potential students than ever before have applied to become U of I students. The Bulls are set to visit the Hornets tonight. Cloudy and colder with a bit of snow. Weather after Fox News, WIND Chicago News Time, 7 o'clock.
Fox
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. The D did it for Denver. Defense backbones the Broncos to a Super Bowl 50 win.
They're the best, and Peyton will go out in glory.
Isn't it great?
Very happy about it.
We're happy Peyton's going out like this.
Though quarterback Peyton Manning won't say yet if he'll retire after the Broncos' 24-10 win over the Carolina Panthers, they'll celebrate with a parade there tomorrow.
The streets in lower downtown were packed the moment fans knew the Lombardi trophy was on its way home to Denver.
I always had faith in my Broncos.
I'm feeling amazing. Words can't describe. The celebration was a lot calmer than it was the last time the Broncos won the Super Bowl. No fires or overturned cars last night, but police did arrest a dozen people for setting off fireworks and blocking traffic. In Denver, Brenda Stewart, Fox News.
The polls open in New Hampshire in 23 hours, so the candidates are making a final push. Jeb Bush says his people are
knocking on doors, making calls. Our town hall meetings have gotten large. I mean, there's a lot of enthusiasm.
Fox's Tanya J. Powers has more on the race live.
Well, Dave, it is time for New Hampshire's big moment in the spotlight with its first in the nation primary set for tomorrow. Many people there say they love being courted by the candidates.
It's funny when you look at other parts of the country that don't even see the people yet. It's, interesting. It's nice living in New Hampshire for that reason.
Marco Rubio is trying to gain some ground following Saturday night's debate after gubernatorial rivals Christie, John Kasich, and Jeb Bush challenged whether Rubio has the experience to serve as president. Recent polls show Donald Trump with a considerable lead in the GOP pack, while Democrat Senator Bernie Sanders leads Hillary Clinton, Dave.
Tanya, it'll be a little snowy in New Hampshire there today, a lot snowier in Massachusetts.
I'm trying to get ready for the storm with my 3 kids, and it's really hectic.
Schools from Boston to Providence are closed. There are blizzard warnings up. The Cape Cod area could get more than a foot of snow, and there are more than 600 flights that have been canceled, a lot of them to and from Boston. This is Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Mostly cloudy, 29 at O'Hare, 32 along the lakefront. At 7:02 on AM 560, The Answer. Good morning. I'm Mike Scott. According to London's Sun newspaper, former Chicago Police Chief Gary McCarthy is up for the top job in London. The 56-year-old, one of 5 foreign police bosses being touted to replace the under-fire Metropolitan Police Commissioner in that city. Also rumored to be in the running is New York Police Chief Bill Bratton and Los Angeles police boss Charlie Beck. McCarthy has been in U.S. policing, as you may know, for 35 years, and before his time in Chicago, worked his way up through New York's force to become deputy commissioner there. American Airlines adding 5 new gates to O'Hare International, part of Chicago's first major airport expansion at O'Hare in nearly a quarter century. One person is dead, another injured after a weekend shooting in Bolingbrook. Police say Wantrell Quarles was shot and killed Saturday night outside a home in the 100 block of Cypress Drive. 4 young people have been shot outside a home in Chicago. One is in critical condition. Chicago Police spokesman Kevin Quaid tells us the shooting happened just before 6 p.m. Sunday on the city's south side. Chicago's Gage Park community still in mourning after 6 family members were found murdered last week in their home. There were prayer vigils held last night outside that house in the 5700 block of South California. Governor Bruce Rauner is giving the Illinois State Museum the green light to reopen, but there is a catch. Rauner issues a mandatory veto to a Senate bill that would welcome visitors to the museum again, but directs the museum to find third-party funding. A juror in the first-degree murder trial of a former Illinois prosecutor accused of suffocating his sleeping wife says everyone felt he was guilty, but the panel could not agree on a conviction because of a lack of evidence. Susie Kuntz telling the Herald Whig newspaper the 10-woman, 2-man jury deadlocked on the charge against the ex-Adams County Assistant State's Attorney Curtis Lovelace after 16 hours of deliberations over 2 days. A mistrial was declared. A retrial is set for May 31st. Chicago sports. Bulls head to Charlotte for a clash with the Hornets tonight. Blackhawks begin a 4-game homestand tomorrow night at the UC. Illinois State defends its home floor with a vicious rally and an upset. Number 22 Wichita State in the Valley, 58-53. The news service of AARP and the Ad Council. If you're dealing with the daily struggles of caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving to find a community with experts and other caregivers who can provide advice and support. Check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Sean Hannity sees a new day in America.
This is an election year unlike no other election that I have ever seen.
This is not your father's Republican Party anymore.
Where it seems fairly evident at this time that there is going to be an insurgent nominee for the Republican Party. Now, I wouldn't even be surprised that there's an insurgent Democratic nominee.
The Sean Hannity Show. Afternoons at 2, right before Joe Walsh at 5 on AM 560. The Answer.
Are you or someone you know facing foreclosure? Losing the family home? Well, you'd be not alone, so please listen to this. There are a lot of issues in a foreclosure, legal issues, factual issues. Dozens so far, and more coming to light every day. You see, people, we are in the aftermath of what will go down in history as the greatest financial crime in history, from which a lot of people profited immensely. And these people did not always do things entirely legally. That is a foregone conclusion. I'm Lou Bridges. I put together a law firm dedicated to foreclosure defense and to avoiding foreclosure by working with the banks, based on a thorough examination and analysis of all the potential issues and questions. And we have surrounded ourselves with people equally committed to this pursuit of justice.
Call 224-513-1231. That's 224-513-1231. Or visit FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. That's FightIllinoisForeclosures.com. Get real answers from a real foreclosure defense firm and discover the legal tools at your disposal.
Uber is an app that helps you make extra money just for driving your car. And because it's totally flexible, you don't have to quit your day job to make more money, because you can drive and earn whenever you want. There are 3 simple steps to start making money. First, sign up for free on your phone. Second, answer a few questions and get approved. And third, start driving. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
7:07. Let's get an update on the roads at our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. Metro reports delays of 20 to 30 minutes on inbound BNSF trains after an earlier equipment derailment of an equipment train, east of Naperville. Outbound trains are now running past Lyle. On the Edens Expressway, inbound delays start at Pratt. 26 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 21. The Kennedy, 36 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 32. The Eisenhower is 46 minutes from Thorndale to the post office, outbound 33. Stevenson, now looking at 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan, 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Northbound Tri-State, the delays are from the Reagan Tollway to St. Charles, Adams Tollway, Stop and Go Barrington Road to 53, Reagan Tollway, Slow Roosevelt to the Tri-State, southbound 53 has delays from the Adams Tollway to Gulf Road. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
Cloudy and colder today with a little snow accumulating a coating to an inch, high of 33. Breezy tonight with a little snow accumulation of a coating to an inch with a low of 20. Bit of snow, a coating to an inch tomorrow, high 24. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
29 at O'Hare, next news 7:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next with Kristen McQuarrie of the Chicago Tribune editorial board sitting in for Amy on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the IRS Radio Hour with attorney Stephen Leahy every Sunday afternoon at 5 on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
A final star turn it is for Peyton. And the Denver Broncos have taken Super Bowl 50.
Here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
He knows exactly what he's
doing. The memorized 25-second speech. How tough is it to take a property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet.
How tough is it?
A lot of time.
And just remember, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and Chicago Tribune scribe Kristen McQuarrie in today for Amy Jacobson. And Kristen, we're all suffering from a chicken wing, Budweiser,
Right.
Peyton Manning's beer of choice, hangover from yesterday's Super Bowl. But your favorite moment from the Super Bowl yesterday, including the ads, including the pomp and circumstance, anything. Doesn't have to be a play in the game.
Lady Gaga.
Oh, Lady Gaga's national anthem.
Oh, I just, she was actually wearing Gucci this time, not a meat dress.
Upgrade.
And I mean, I just think she's so talented. And did you watch the Academy Awards when she did the whole Sound of Music montage?
I did see that.
I mean, she actually, I thought, outperformed Julie Andrews in that. And I she did.
Whoa,
and last night she was just, she did
Bernie
not.
Sanders impersonation. Ho, 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 ho.
Hold on.
Oh.
Hold on. She didn't take the anthem and add her own stylings. I sort of like just a clean version of the anthem, and she delivered. It was great. And I love Coldplay. I know you're going to poo-poo the halftime show.
No.
I also liked that.
Yeah, no, the halftime show, you want to stay tuned for that if you're someone who likes music that sucks.
Right.
And you do. So you got
stop.
Coldplay. Now, Bruno Mars, and to some extent Beyonce, that was kind of cool.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I mean, I actually like when
Chris Martin jumping around kind of ruined it.
Well, he actually does sing, though. He's not lip syncing.
Yeah.
He plays instruments. He writes his own music. So the artistry of Chris Martin, I think, probably outweighs Beyonce and Bruno Mars.
Oh, no.
I don't understand your hatred for Coldplay.
All the single ladies, excuse me. I mean, where are you and kind of abandoning your feminist sisters?
No, I mean, I like Beyonce. I like Bruno Mars. I just prefer less electronic, synthesized music. And Coldplay, even they've gotten a little more poppy over the years, but, they actually use a lot of strings, and every song has great crescendo, and I don't understand what your hatred is about Coldplay.
I mean, it's this terrible music. It's not hatred. It's just an observation.
His new album, though, is post Gwyneth. So you have to embrace that. He had to eat rice cakes for 10 years, and now he's finally breaking free, and his new album, shows that.
Nobody uses the term album anymore. So here's the thing, though. My favorite moment, I'm glad you asked, actually pregame, not Lady Gaga's national anthem, which was good, but when they introduced all of the MVPs, Super Bowl MVPs for the last 49 years, and it was cool to see all those guys again. It was also cool to realize that most of them are still around.
Mm-hmm.
And this is, increasingly an issue. Roger Goodell kind of stepped in it in the run-up to the Super Bowl this week when he said, in response to a question about, in his discourse on the annual State of the Game, a question about the risks, the physical risks, particularly with respect to concussions. Obviously, that's what we're talking about. Risks playing football. He said, there are risks in life. There are risks sitting in a couch. That was not received well by the Dave Duerson family. That was not received well by a lot of individuals studying the impacts of concussions on football players, as well as generally, not to mention op-ed writers and, again, families that were affected. So the question is, would you let your kid grow up to be Peyton Manning? This is going to be kind of a rolling question because public opinion is moving on this. 312-642-5600 is the turnkey.pro answer line, 64636DA, the turnkey.pro text line. And you can download the AM560 mobile app to communicate with us that way as well. In the last year, the percentage of Americans who said they would not let their children play football has increased by almost 50% from a total of 1 in 5 to nearly 1 in 3, from 22% to 31%. A third of American parents say they will not let their children play football. Now, I played football through freshman year of high school.
You did?
I did. And then
all 100 pounds of you.
I was back then, really. Yeah, 5'2", like 105 as a freshman. But I decided I wasn't getting enough punishment, so I turned to golf.
Oh.
Because, physical injuries heal. The mental damage,
Right.
the emotional scars that golf inflicts.
Continues to inflict upon you.
Those are real. So you want to talk about Wounded Warrior over here.
Oh.
Yeah, that's this guy.
Yeah.
Okay.
You get a sunburn playing golf.
Emotional. They run so much deeper.
Okay.
No, I can't. Don't let me tell you about the putt I missed on 17 at the Fenton Invitational my junior year. I still can't talk about it.
It's devastating.
David French in National Review Online has an interesting piece about football in the context of this conversation, and on the back of a cajillion people watching this annual global event, which is the Super Bowl. But now, is football doomed the way that public opinion is tracking? He writes, among other things, when I watch the NFL, I don't see victims. I see men who have known their entire lives that football can be dangerous. These men have injuries and they've suffered their own pain, but they play on. They do it for the thrill of competition, for the love of their teammates, and yes, for the fame and money their athletic prowess provides. At the end of the day, however, the courage they show on the football field is central to their very identity. He goes on to add, every football player, when he steps onto the gridiron, demonstrates a degree of bravery that directly rebukes our increasingly bubble-wrapped culture. Our nation needs bravery far more than it needs safety, but in the cultural struggles ahead, I believe that that fear may prevail. So he puts it into a cultural context of parents wanting to protect, the helicopter parents wanting to protect their kids from the outside world, from the threat of any harm that may come to them.
I think that's stretching it. I think there are very real concerns about concussions.
Yeah.
We had a group of middle schoolers come to the Tribune editorial board not too long ago, and an 8th grader, the quarterback for his team, he suffered a concussion. He spent 5 days in a dark room where you're not supposed to turn on lights. He had a lot of trouble concentrating.
Mm-hmm.
For several weeks after that at school, he needed extra tutoring help, and he was very foggy. These are kids whose brains are still developing. So I don't think this is a matter of helicopter parenting. I think there are some real concerns. And of course, Roger Goodell has to spout off when his own NFL is, going through lawsuits and trying to learn more about how concussions occur. He's just so out of touch.
Speaking of kids, grade schoolers, the NFL babies commercials that ran throughout, the NFL children.
Yeah,
the
that was
spike in births from the victorious.
Creepy.
I thought so too.
Yeah.
It wasn't just me. That was weird.
It was weird. It was weird. It took me a minute to figure out what they were actually trying to say. Yeah, it was a little odd.
And then the one of the later iterations of that line of commercials with Seal in it, that didn't make it any better.
I don't think I saw that one. I did look up the 50 most popular Super Bowl commercials. And one of them I remember from the early 90s. Remember Cindy Crawford and Pepsi? She stops at a gas station. It sort of has like a Stand By Me feeling with two little boys watching through. No, you're looking at me blankly.
Yeah.
You don't remember that?
Vaguely.
That was a big one. Yeah.
Well,
no.
That is down the list. I assume number one was the Paul Harvey and God Made a Farmer Dodge commercial, because that's what it should be.
It was Mean Joe Green.
Oh, throwing the jersey.
Right.
Yeah. Especially as a Steeler fan. All right, farmers, I'm sorry, you're going to have to take second place to Mean Joe Green.
But didn't you think the commercials, they don't take any risks anymore? I thought they were all just kind of bland.
Well, right. It's everybody has a talking animal, right? Except for Snickers, to their credit, Willem Dafoe as Marilyn Monroe. That was fun. I like that one.
I didn't want to see him in his white underpants.
Vinny in Elmwood Park in Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hey, guys. Great show. And I'm not a big fan of Roger Goodell, but I know people tried to do this to the sport of fight through boxing.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, unfortunately, what he said was absolutely true, whether people like it or not. You run a risk simply sitting on the couch every morning you get out of bed. You run a risk simply getting out of bed. So people make choices in life like anything else, and if they choose to do something that's more risky, then that's fine. But the question was just like the wife just put on a few pounds of honey in my daily life. You said something that's true.
Thanks for the call, Vinny. Yeah, it's. I mean, I think I don't think we're having a conversation about it being banned. I think that we're still, thankfully, still in the space in this dialogue, this debate about parents making the choice to allow their kids to play football or not, which is where the decision should lie.
Well, and aren't there some suburban programs? I'm sure one of our callers will correct us, but I thought somewhere in the north suburbs they were having trouble fielding teams, so they had to mix like JV with varsity because of this exact reason.
Yeah,
Parents aren't allowing their kids to play.
And you know who I blame for that?
Let me guess. Hillary Clinton?
No, your colleague John Cass.
Oh, why?
And his relentless promotion of soccer as the global sport that is going to subsume.
I'm with him.
I know you were a college soccer player.
Well,
a lot of people don't know that.
No,
you're a
like
Division I athlete
for a minute until Title IX wiped the program away.
Oh boy!
Yep, we had too many girls' sports
at Illinois State.
Correct.
When feminism cannibalizes its own.
It happened.
It's a tragic story.
Mm-hmm.
Dan in Barrington, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yes, good morning.
Morning.
I was just interested. You mentioned Roger Staubach earlier, and we saw it with, I'm forgetting his name right now, but another older football player who died this fall.
Kenny Stabler.
Well, but even, there was another one. But in any case, these guys live full, complete lives. Roger Staubach, was it Stabler you said who had it? I'm sorry.
No, Kenny Stabler had concussion. The autopsy on Kenny Stabler suggested he had CTE, yeah.
Right. Well, but the point that I'm getting at is when you see these older fellas that are living out full lives, otherwise undistinguishable from other people in our society, it kind of pokes holes in the whole concept that these things are, life-ending, life-changing, which is what the original 80 or so brains that they looked at, that's what they suggested. And, it's terrible that Dave Dorson and Junior Seau and others went through what they did. But was it the result of what they found on this, in their brains? As far as the scar, it looks very similar to Alzheimer's under the microscope. It's just in a slightly different place in the brain.
Yeah.
When you see guys who are now living into their 70s and 80s, they're dying, they're looking at their brains, they have the same life as these other fellas for the most part. None of the studies controlled for any of the myriad of other lifestyle things that, athletes engage in, be it, the performance enhancing drugs, that sort of thing. We've put the cart way out in front of the horse.
All right, thanks sorry, we got to go, Dan, but thanks for the call. Appreciate it. Thanks.
You've made the switch, and it feels so good. You've switched to Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today, cloudy and colder with a light dusting of snow, high of 33. Tonight, breezy with a little snow at times, accumulating a coating to an inch. Low of 20. Now we'll do a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thank you, Kristen. And Dan, good morning. We're seeing delays on southbound 53 from Palatine Road to Kirchhoff, and then it's slow as well from the Adams Tollway to Gulf Road. Eden's inbound, 22 minutes. Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 20. The Kennedy, 36 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 34. The Eisenhower is now 50 minutes from Thorndale to the Loop. Outbound, it's 33 minutes. Stevenson, 45 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound, 34. The Ryan is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound, stop and go Lake Avenue to Gulf Road with a crash. Northbound slow from Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Eastbound Adams Tollway really tied up from Higgins to 53. Then heavy approaching the Des Plaines Oasis. Reagan Tollway to slow from around 83 to the Tri-State. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
Control, this is QL1. Side hatch is secure.
QL1, this is Control. We copy, showing normal cabin pressure. Over.
Control, this is QL1. Do you like mortgages?
That's a negative, QL1. Over.
Control, do you like rockets?
That's affirmative, QL1. Over.
Do you like rocket mortgages?
I'm listening. Over.
Of course you are, Control. everyone likes rockets. Control, Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans is the first on-demand mortgage machine that turns the entire mortgage process into a fast, powerful, completely online experience.
Copy that, QL1. I'm going to go ahead and push this button in 3, 2, 1.
Rocket Mortgage at QuickenLoans.com. Push button, get mortgage.
Rocket.
Visit for cost information and conditions. Equal housing lender. Licensed in all 50 states. NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030.
Signature Bank is Chicago's fastest growing, independently owned business bank. Signature Bank listens to your story, learns about your business, and sticks with their customers. I'm Dan Proft, and I know this because Signature Bank is my business bank.
I'm Mick O'Rourke, co-founder, president, and CEO of Signature Bank. We founded Signature Bank in 2006 with one goal: to serve as Chicago's business bank. Now, 10 years later, we've seen that vision turn into a reality. We'd like to help your business realize all of its potential. My co-founders and I have many years of experience in commercial banking. When we learn about your business, we sit down across the table from you. When you have concerns, we pick up the phone to talk them through. We know your name and your story. At Signature Bank, when we make a commitment, we deliver.
Signature Bank is looking for their next success story. Learn more about turning your business vision into reality. Visit signature-bank.com. Signature Bank, helping local businesses succeed. Member FDIC, Equal Housing Lender.
Are you suffering with hearing loss? Are you sick of people constantly complaining that your TV is too loud? Are you tired of asking people to speak up? Would you like to hear more clearly, but you don't want to wear a hearing aid that makes you look old? Then you need to try Listen Clear, a life-changing breakthrough precisely designed by top audio engineers to fit your ear almost invisibly. And you can adjust Listen Clear to find the perfect way to hear everything, wherever you are and whatever you're doing. And right now you can try Listen Clear absolutely free, with free shipping. We'll even give you free batteries for life. So call now, 1-800-700-5105. Listen Clear is lightweight and completely hassle-free, and it's practically invisible. Call for your 100% free home trial with free shipping and free batteries for life. For free information, call now, 1-800-700-5105. That's 1-800-700-5105. 1-800-700-5105.
AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy this morning. And Kristen, we're talking about playing football in the backdrop of yesterday's Super Bowl. An increasing number of parents will not let their kids play football. The research continues. We do know, for example, that researchers at Boston University have found an increased incidence of catastrophic diseases like ALS as a result of repeated concussions. In point of fact, they went back and looked at Lou Gehrig's playing career and found that he had suffered repeated concussions. You know, it was before the era before they wore helmets, repeated concussions. And so in the context of other NFL players, this is something else. It's not just CTE. It can be also other debilitating and deadly diseases. And so there's no question there's risk. But the question is, would you let your kids play football? By the way, just point of order, text from 708 backing me up, Kristen, that golf more grueling and punishing than football.
Oh, my gosh.
Text from 708, the struggle is real. I still have emotional scarring from 3-putting a par 5 I reached in 2. Now, I hear you, brother. I mean, there should be really a support group.
I mean, you could not be whiter right now.
Excuse
Brother,
me.
you and your
Tiger
golf
Woods, Calvin
warnings.
Pete. Alan in Rockford, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Dan, hi, good morning. Mike Ditka said recently that the unintended consequences of trying to make equipment more and more efficient and reducing potentials of injury has unintended consequences. People are hitting each other harder than they ever have. You got a lot faster people running into each other head first. So why not consider for grade school 5 through 8 as flag football only to get the basics down? Maybe even the freshman and sophomore in high school until you get into junior, senior. Then you can start using pads. But don't make the pads and stuff so robust so people stop taking risks. I don't know. It's an idea.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Alan. It's interesting. I mean, this is the conversation that we need to have, I think, if you want football to survive long term. Andrew Hicks on Chicago's Morning Answer. Andrew, thanks for joining us. Son of Tom Hicks, the great Illini standout?
Yeah, very true. My dad
growing up for us, he didn't let us play football until we actually were in high school. His injuries, he can barely feel his feet. He's constantly on medication. These injuries have lasted him his entire life. They go on and on and on. They're never fixed. This is always a problem for him.
Does your dad feel like his playing football was worth it or no?
At this point in his life, his life is great. He's got 3 kids, remarried. I recently had a daughter, so he's got a grandkid now. That's all great, but in reality, his body is just beaten, and he can't really do too much. Back then, they didn't get paid a lot. He just got the settlement that they paid out for players. The settlement amounts went down significantly, so his settlement was only, like 20, 30 grand or something when they used to be paying out like 200 something grand back 2 years ago. And his signing bonus when he started was $2,000.
And that was with
these guys used to make nothing.
That was with the Bears, right?
The Bears in 75.
Yeah, Andrew, thanks so much for calling. Appreciate the perspective. Appreciate it. And even you see those MVPs walk out, but like Randy White strikes me in particular. He wasn't jogging out. He didn't have a bounce in his step. He was virtually hunched over, kind of making his way to the dais. So what he's talking about is real.
Connect with Dan and Amy using the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
When elderly family require care, you insist on local medical professionals with specialized training in home services and nursing. Alliance Home Service is a leading family alternative to nursing home and institutional care. It's critical to ask the right questions when matching a caregiver to your loved one to maintain the most positive lifestyle for your entire family. Alliance Home Service is among a select group of Chicagoland companies providing in-home non-medical care such as hygiene, medication reminders, activities, and companionship and medical care. All caregivers have the highest level of training and expertise. You'll experience the cost efficiency of in-home care as well as the level of caring you expect from family. Call founder and registered nurse Linda Weiler at 866-227-3459 or visit alliancecaregiver.com for a no-obligation family care consultation. Alliance Home Service. Our family caring for your family. That's 866-227-3459 or alliancecaregiver.com.
AM 560, The Answer.
All right, coming up at 7:37, what does Saturday night's Republican debate portend for tomorrow's New Hampshire primary results? We'll discuss it after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, good morning. We have snow showers, 31 degrees. And Republican Donald Trump eyeing his first win on the presidential campaign trail in tomorrow's New Hampshire primary.
I will bring jobs back from China. I will bring jobs back from Japan. I will bring jobs back from Mexico, where New Hampshire, by the way, has been virtually wiped out. They've lost so many businesses going to Mexico because of horrible trade deals.
His rivals insist their campaigns will continue beyond New Hampshire no matter what happens there. Former President Bill Clinton taking the gloves off for his wife in a blistering attack on Bernie Sanders in New Hampshire.
Anybody that takes money from Goldman Sachs couldn't possibly be president. He may have to tweak that answer a little bit. Either that or we're going to have to get us a write-in candidate.
Sanders has a big lead in public opinion polls ahead of Tuesday's New Hampshire primary. There were arrests in Denver following the Broncos' defeat of the Panthers in Super Bowl 50. 12 are behind bars this morning, being a little over rowdy. Meantime, Bronco quarterback Peyton Manning isn't looking ahead and not ready to discuss his future.
It's been a heck of a ride this season. It's been unique, and I think just having a great faith has helped, and our whole team and for me. And so I'm taking it one night at a time.
Manning has dealt with injuries this season, and because of those injuries, lost his starting job to Brock Osweiler for a time. An Indian man could be the first person ever killed by a meteorite. Authorities in southern India say a meteorite struck that man as he was walking on a college campus over the weekend, and he wasn't alone. 3 others were severely hurt. Would be the first confirmed case of a person being killed by a meteorite, although there have been a few other close calls. Chicago sports, Broncos again winners at Super Bowl 50. Bulls take on Michael Jordan's Charlotte Hornets tonight. The Blackhawks begin a 4-game homestand tomorrow night. The news service of the Grammys on CBS. Don't miss the Grammys, hosted by LL Cool J. Performances from nominees Tori Kelly, Chris Stapleton, Kendrick Lamar. For more, go to Grammy.com. Witness Greatness, Monday, February 15, brought to you by the Grammys on CBS. A check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Cornerstone National Bank believes trust, service, and relationship is the foundation of a business banking partnership. Cornerstone National Bank and Trust Company, where you belong. Visit cornerstonenb.com. Member FDIC.
Hi, this is Shalom Klein of Get Down to Business, the show for small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. Powered by Tandem HR. So mom and dad, imagine that after saving for years to send your child to college, you discover that you did not save enough. Or perhaps you find out that your student did not make the best career decision before choosing their college or major. That's expensive in a couple of ways. Number one, as you might imagine, your student will need to take extra courses. Cha-ching! Or switch to a different college. Cha-ching, cha-ching! And two, for the student, it's emotionally expensive to not know what you plan to do with your life and why you're away at college in the first place. For the best outcome, Everett Wealth Solutions recommends getting advice from a fiduciary advisor with college funding knowledge. A fiduciary represents you, not a financial institution. They will get to know you and the complete financial picture of your life. For more tips, advice, and stories of entrepreneurial successes, listen to Get Down to Business with me, Shalom Klein, heard Sunday evenings at 6. Your Business Minute of the Day is brought to you by Everett Wealth Solutions.
Being prepared. It is something that drives us. Being self-reliant. This is what America is all about. When Obama attacks our constitutional liberties or his foreign policy makes us less safe, it's our job to keep an eye on him, but you can also do your part by becoming more prepared and more self-reliant today. The good people at My Patriot Supply know the value of self-reliance. I want you to call the good folks at My Patriot Supply and get a free catalog. You'll speak with a preparedness expert, and you will be awfully relieved that you've made this phone call. They'll come up with affordable, personalized solutions that fit your budget and your needs. Call My Patriot Supply now, 888-895-7914. You'll get a free My Patriot Supply catalog, and you will be relieved that you're going to take a giant step toward preparedness for you and your family. Call 888-895-7914 today. My Patriot Supply. Toll free, 888-895-7914.
I'm Lex, CEO of Balance of Nature. At Balance of Nature, we believe in real communication. Whether you call into the office or hear a success story on the radio, you can be sure it's real, unsolicited, and unscripted conversation.
There were times I was finding myself almost falling asleep at the wheel, that I had to pull over. That's the first thing I noticed, that hasn't happened since I've been taking Balance of Nature. I'm in sales, so I do a lot of walking during the day that would tire me out. I'm not as fatigued. I feel good.
The top 3 New Year's resolutions are health-related. Improve your odds by getting started early with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
7:38 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center. The very latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. We're seeing delays on the inbound Edens from Devon to the junction. It's 22 minutes from Lake Hook to Montrose, outbound 21. Inbound Kennedy, now looking at 38 minutes. O'Hare to, make that 45 minutes now. O'Hare to downtown. It's 26 from Montrose, 23 in the Express. Outbound 43 minutes downtown to the airport. Inbound Eisenhower, 50 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 39. Stevenson, 54 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound 34. Ryan is 23 minutes, 95 to downtown. Southbound Lakeshore Drive, heavy Montrose to Fullerton. Tri-State southbound slow from 60 to Duffy and Willow to Gulf Road where there's a crash. Northbound from the Reagan Tollway to North Avenue and from the Toohey Toll Plaza to Lake Avenue, a long delay. Eastbound Adams Tollway, stop and go Higgins to 53 and Bussy to the Des Plaines Oasis. Traffic is a service of ChicagolandJiffyLube.com. You don't have to make an appointment at Jiffy Lube, but they now offer brake service at some of their locations. So if you need a high-quality oil change, brake service, or any other preventive maintenance, Jiffy Lube has you covered. For a listing of Jiffy Lube locations that offer brake services, visit ChicagolandJiffyLube.com. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte, AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. Aircomfort.com, 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy, colder, bit of snow today, coating to an inch, high 33. Currently 29. Next news at 8. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by The Lou Bridges Show. Tune in on Saturday mornings at 8 to learn how you might fight foreclosure and keep your home.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board. Kristen, Republican debate Saturday night, Republican and Democrat primary in New Hampshire tomorrow. Here was my advice, unsolicited and unheeded, for the three candidates going into Saturday night's debate. For Trump, get over Iowa. For Cruz, more alacrity and less unctuous jingoism. And for Rubio, more texture and fewer talking points.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I got to say, Trump and Cruz, for the most part, did provide what I suggested they provide. Rubio, not so much. Rubio had an exchange with Chris Christie. That's really been the focus of the reporting post-debate. That has seemingly stunted his momentum in New Hampshire. We'll see tomorrow, but it continues to be the conversation into today and perhaps a little bit tomorrow. That go to this problem, this perception problem that he has among some, that he has memorized 25 to 45-second answers on the issues, and he will rinse and repeat them, and there's nothing you can do or say to get him off of it. And it comes across as he is, artificial intelligence of sorts.
Right. I mean, I don't think it's perception. I think it's reality. And I think this kind of caught up to him. He's lucky the debate was on a Saturday night when maybe people weren't watching. And, there's some discussion that the media is blowing this up, but I don't think so. I think it's really damaging at this point in the campaign, in this race, to appear inauthentic and scripted. And that is what came out of that debate. And I actually think Chris Christie is going to have a slight surge tomorrow because he was so good at capturing Rubio stumbling around.
The problem is Chris Christie needs more than a slight surge because he's at 4 or 5%, despite the Manchester Union leader endorsement. And it seems to me that Chris Christie is the candidate most likely to drop out after New Hampshire. The problem is if Chris Christie drops out, it consolidates the race a little bit, but just a little bit. I mean, it's not materially more impactful based on the numbers than Huckabee and Santorum dropping out. Kasich is the one who actually seems to be moving a little bit, and it's worth noting, who does Jeb have his sights trained on? It's been in terms of advertisements. It's been Rubio, of course, and it's been John Kasich. Two hit ads coming from the Bush folks on John Kasich.
Common Core, Obama's Medicaid expansion, tax increases. Barack Obama? No, John Kasich. Kasich still supports Common Core. Kasich was one of the few Republican governors to cheerlead Obamacare's Medicaid expansion, and Kasich's budget raised taxes by billions, hitting businesses hard and the middle class even harder. John Kasich, not a conservative, not even a moderate, an Obama Republican.
An Obama Republican, and here's another right to rise whack on Kasich.
Where do you line up with John Kasich on the issues? Take the Kasich quiz. Forced Obamacare expansion in Ohio. Voted for massive defense cuts and defended the process that closed Pease Air Force Base, which cost thousands of local jobs. Even had the worst rating on spending of any governor in the country, Republican or Democrat. John Kasich, wrong on New Hampshire issues. Right to Rise USA.
That was interesting. That Right to Rise, which is the Bush Super PAC, the Jeb Bush Super PAC, that was, to me, a more effective ad than the other one. I mean, to some extent, you're repeating things that people know, but you got to remind them. But to make it local, like going all the way back to the BRAC Commission and the closing of a base in New Hampshire that cost jobs, I thought localizing it was pretty good. I mean, because New Hampshire sees themselves, like most states do, as a self-contained universe, and I want to hear specifically your understanding of our state and our needs and interests and wants.
I think it'll be interesting if Kasich does do well, though. He actually does have a pretty conservative record in Ohio. I know it gets twisted, and of course, that commercial twisted a lot of what he did. But he's been there the most. We had him into the editorial board at one point. I mean, he really thinks that he was going to get to a point where he would be shaking hands with every New Hampshire voter maybe 2 or 3 times. That is the access that type of small state primary allows, and he's been there the most. So, maybe retail politicking will come out on top if Kasich does well. And
if Kasich does well, if he finishes second, and he's right now, according to some overnights, that he is in second position, although it's very close, there's 4 candidates bunched up after Trump, then, he stays in. And he talked over the weekend on the Sunday Talkies about he's got people in Nevada and he's got events lined up in Nevada. Jeb Bush talked about he's going to be in South Carolina on Wednesday morning, regardless of his finish in New Hampshire. The longer this goes on, well past South Carolina, past probably Super Tuesday, where you have Trump and then 4 candidates between, say, 8 and 18%, who's the beneficiary?
I mean, Well, he is, but Trump has to do well, and I don't know necessarily that I trust a lot of the polls that have him so far ahead in a state like New Hampshire. But he's, yes, it's going to ping pong back and forth. It does every year. Whoever wins the Iowa caucus doesn't always win. New Hampshire doesn't usually win South Carolina. So I would like to see the field constrict. I would like to see Fiorina be showcased more, and she's not. And then, Rand Paul was kind of my guy, and he's out.
He gone. Well, here's the thing, though, too, and several of the candidates, particularly the candidates that are middle of the pack, have made this point. So far, we've had 180,000 Iowans actually vote. Can we all take a breath? I know the media is obsessed with the horse race and consolidating it down to 2 or 3 and getting a nominee as soon as we can and focusing on the general election matchups. But, give it some time to breathe. I mean, for example, the Illinois primary is March 15th. I like it to be interesting, and I think it will be by the time our primary rolls around and into so many other states with primaries and caucuses into the spring. There is no rush. The media always kind of wants to expedite the cycle. I'm over with it. We've paid attention. We've decided who the 2 or 3 candidates that could be the nominee are, and, we want to get down to our choices and force people to make that choice, and then let's wrap this up so that we can talk about Hillary versus whoever, or Bernie versus whoever. I think there's nothing wrong with just, pull the reins, let New Hampshire vote, let South Carolina vote, Nevada caucus, and then all those states on Super Tuesday, and let's keep going. If this gets done by May, that's fine. Plenty of time.
Illinois is not going to – this is going to be predetermined by the time our primary rolls around.
You think so?
I do.
The only way I would say
I don't
this.
like it, but it will.
Well, I'll make this contention. If that's true, I don't necessarily think that's going to be true, but if it turns out to be true, the only way that is true is if Trump is the odds-on favorite to be the nominee, if Trump is cleaning house. Because if it's uneven, if you have Trump win New Hampshire and maybe even South Carolina, and then you go through southern states and maybe Cruz wins one here and Rubio wins Florida. I mean, all of these potential contingencies. The only way you get done with this after Super Tuesday is if Trump is running the table. That's a proposition. Roger in Grays Lake, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Yeah, nobody's talking about the fact that the Republicans have super delegates who are not committed to any candidate, and that's how the establishment intends to steal the nomination from Donald Trump, because they're going to have all of these people sitting around who are committed to having an establishment candidate, and right now I'm going to tell you it's not going to be Marco Rubio. They're going to do whatever they can to get that rasping Jeb Bush in the White House or running against Hillary, and that's the scam.
All right, thanks for the call, Roger. I don't think it's going to go down that way. If Trump wins fair and square and they try to do some kind of convention engineering, destroy the party, you would almost guarantee a Hillary victory. It's not going to happen. Trump actually had an interesting moment in the debate, too, that's been under-talked about. And it was not maybe perhaps the most genuine moment, but it was an effective political moment for Trump when he went after the audience, as only Trump can do.
I'll take 30 seconds. Let me just, he wants to be a tough guy. A lot of times you'll have, and it doesn't work very well with
How tough is it to take a property from an elderly woman?
Let me talk. Quiet.
How tough is it?
A lot of times, That's all of his donors and special interests out there. So, that's what it is. That's what. And by the way, let me just tell you, we needed tickets. You can't get them. You know who has the tickets for the? I'm talking about to the television audience. Donors, special interests, the people that are putting up the money. Who it is? The RNC told us we have all donors in the audience, and the reason they're not loving me, the reason they're not loving me is I don't want their money. I'm going to do the right thing for the American public. I don't want their money. I don't need their money, and I'm the only one up here that can say that. Eminent domain.
Yeah, that was. I'll tell you what. By the way, each candidate got 20 tickets. But the underlying facts not important. Important. Donald Trump's market position and the opportunity that provided. He should have been encouraging the audience to boo louder. I thought that was a great moment for the political fortunes of Donald Trump.
I mean, it just shows he has an answer for everything. You know, that would have shaken a lot of the candidates on the stage, but not Donald Trump.
Candace and DuPage.
I didn't get to see the first half. Okay, I saw it later, but I thought Marco Rubio did great in the second half. But one of the things that's driving me crazy in this race, not one person has called it out, and Dennis Prager says it nearly every day on the show, is why are we talking about the record of Barack Obama? We should be talking about how the left is responsible for the ruin of the nation, and we should say it over and over and over again. And it drives me crazy when I hear Marco Rubio say Barack Obama 4 times. He should be talking about the left, because I think he's going to be ending. Bernie's going to win.
Well,
he's far more charming.
Thanks for the call. Thanks for the call, Candace. If somebody knows how to say something over and over again, though, it's Marco Rubio.
Tremendous. Hear about the big stories of the day, then talk about them right here on Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today, cloudy and colder with a light dusting of snow, high of 33. Tonight, breezy with a little snow at times, accumulating to a coating or an inch, low of 20. Now we'll do a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Christian and Dan. It's getting heavier on the inbound Eisenhower. Really jammed now from 17th to Sacramento. It's 58 minutes, Thorndale to downtown. Outbound 45, there is a crash near York Road. Eden's 24 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Outbound now 39. Kennedy, 47 minutes, O'Hare to downtown. Outbound 42. Stevenson, 54 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. Outbound 34. Ryan is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound slow from 60 to Duffy and Willow to Gulf Road. Northbound Plainfield Road to 47th. Reagan Tollway to North Avenue. Then jammed Irving Park to Lake Avenue and Sanders to Lake Cook with a multi-vehicle crash. Adams Tollway stop and go Higgins to 53. Reagan Tollway from Midwest to the Tri-State. Veterans Memorial slow from before 75th most of the way to Roosevelt and Army Trail to 290. Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com. That's upstream-ideas.com. You'll be armed with new information and fresh perspectives to spur you on to make the state of Illinois and the United States of America a bit more free, a bit more just, and a bit more civilized. Upstream-ideas.com.
And now, a moment of objectivism with your Ron Brook and the Ayn Rand Institute.
How does economic inequality emerge in a free society? From a bunch of win-win transactions. When J.K. Rowling wrote Harry Potter books, she created something of value, a bunch of great stories that millions of people willingly and happily paid $20 a piece for. Now, what happened to inequality as a result? It grew. Rowling became a billionaire, while her fans saw their income stay the same and their wealth go down by a tiny amount, $20. Inequality grew, but everyone was better off as a result. That's the way inequality arises under freedom, and that's why it should. For more, see my book with Don Watkins, Equal is Unfair, America's Misguided Fight Against Income Inequality. Visit ARIradio.com. From the Ayn Rand Institute, I'm Ron Brook.
This has been A Moment of Objectivism from the Ayn Rand Institute. To learn more, listen to The Yaron Brooks Show, Saturdays at 4 on AM 560, and visit ariradio.com.
Why are Ayn Rand's ideas so compelling? Her worldview, her philosophy, expressed dramatically in her novels Atlas Shrugged and The Fountainhead, embodies the ideals stated by the Founding Fathers in the Declaration of Independence and sets forth the requirements necessary to achieve a flourishing life. She called her philosophy objectivism and said it was a philosophy for living on Earth. Today, decades after her death, objectivism continues to stir debate and inspire passion for the spirit of individualism and the enduring American dream.
This February, prepare to witness the miracle that changed the world forever.
The Nazarene said he'd rise again after 3 days.
Through the eyes of a non-believer. Risen, starring Joseph Fiennes.
The tomb is sealed, guarded with your life.
The most important manhunt in history was just beginning.
The body has vanished.
His tomb is empty.
Who knows it? You tell me.
Risen, rated PG-13, may be inappropriate for children under 13. In theaters February 19th. For tickets and showtimes, go to risen-movie.com.
Listen to podcasts of Joe Walsh and Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy this morning. And Kristen,
Here it's playing. Yeah,
Coldplay. Music for people who hate music. Larisha Hawkins, she was that professor at Wheaton College who violated her faith statement by suggesting that Christians and Muslims worship the same God. Not true. And there was a move to, put her on administrative leave and then terminate her. Now there's this development from the president of Wheaton College. The administration and Dr. Hawkins have come to a place of resolution and reconciliation. With a mutual desire for God's blessing, we have decided to part ways. So she's not fired, but she's not going to be working there anymore. And the provost at Wheaton College also issued a bit of a contrite statement saying, I asked Dr. Hawkins for forgiveness for the ways I contributed to the fracture of our relationship and to the fracture of Dr. Hawkins' relationship with the college. While I acted to exercise my position of oversight, I apologize for my lack of wisdom and collegiality as I initially approached Dr. Hawkins for imposing administrative leave more precipitously than was necessary. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. You violate the terms of your contract, and your employer has the right to separate you from your position, which is what's happening. But I mean, in the interest of, again, reconciliation and fellowship, we want to offer Larisha Hawkins a bit of a parting statement as well.
Take that hijab and shove it. You ain't working here no more. Professor Hawkins, you forgot the statement of faith you signed 9 years before. Wheaton College sincerely appreciates the contributions, but over there's the door. Take that hijab and shove it. You ain't working here no more.
Think you're fat? You might just be bloated. Find out by calling now for a free trial of New Biotics, the new breakthrough that flattens bloated bellies fast. For a free trial, call 1-800-992-4419. Strict limit of 1 per household.
I used to be plagued by pot belly and constant bloating. After taking New Biotics, my belly flattened and continues to get flatter. My sense of bloating and discomfort is gone.
If you've got a big belly, you might not be fat. You might just be bloated. New Biotics is scientifically formulated with natural ingredients to flatten bloated bellies fast by cleansing pounds of rotting food and toxic sludge from your body. It even combats periodic heartburn and acid reflux. If your belly flattening results are too dramatic, simply reduce use to every other day. Think you might be bloated? See how much flatter New Biotics makes your belly. But hurry, call now for details while we're still giving it away for free. 1-800-992-4419. That's 1-800-992-4419. 1-800-992-4419.
Turnkey IT is a name you've come to know and trust at AM 560. Turnkey IT provides small businesses with IT resources that are normally reserved for Fortune 500 companies. They provide world-class network installations and ongoing IT support for fixed monthly rates based on the size of your network. In fact, Turnkey IT has a program that fits the needs of your business. Turnkey IT understands that your business matters and that keeping you focused on it makes all the difference in the world. Best of all, their service can save you time and money. Turnkey IT can give you the peace of mind that backups are being executed, email is always available, files are secure, and you've got someone to call when you need help. Turnkey IT has people who are professional, friendly, on time, And a live person even answers the phone 24 hours a day. So visit turnkey.pro today for a plan that fits your needs. That's turnkey.pro. Coming up at 8:08, DePaul Law School changes the venue of their barrister's ball. Why did they do that? We'll have the answer after we check the headlines with Mike Scott.
Kristen and Dan, a vigil held for a murdered Gage Park family. There's a retrial for Curtis Lovelace after a mistrial was declared in his case. We'll have an update on that story. Bulls getting set to visit the Hornets on a cold and snowy day. WIND Chicago News Time, 8 o'clock.
Fox News Radio. I'm Dave Anthony. They're crestfallen in Carolina.
Very disappointing. There's always next year.
His Panthers got pounded by the Broncos in the Super Bowl.
The team effort by the Broncos. We've been going all year in Denver.
They'll have a parade there tomorrow. Fox's Chris Honig was at the game, now live in San Francisco.
Dave, Coach Gary Kubiak had nothing but praise for the rare defensive MVP, Von Miller.
He was absolutely tremendous. Our defense was, just special, and they have been all year long, but very proud of Von.
Miller's 2 forced fumbles and 2.5 sacks earned him the honors, but he was quick to credit the belief of his entire Denver Broncos team.
We haven't really paid attention to the underdog talk and this talk and that talk. We know what type of team we are. We know what type of game we can play.
But we still don't know if this was quarterback Peyton Manning's final game, Dave.
Chris, thank you. Time's running out for candidates to court voters in New Hampshire.
You're going to do great tomorrow.
I feel good about it.
You're going to come in second and close to first.
Second. I always want to get as many votes as I can.
That's Marco Rubio at a diner in Amherst this morning. He's been second to Donald Trump in many polls, though his rivals are hoping he slips after Saturday's debate. Bernie Sanders leads the Democratic polls in New Hampshire. Kids in Boston have a fun snow day ahead.
Watch TV and play with Legos and other stuff. And probably go outside, too.
Schools are closed in Massachusetts and Rhode Island. There are blizzard warnings up. Cape Cod could get over a foot of snow. More than 600 flights are canceled. No one will be going to Chipotle for lunch today. Instead of opening at 11 a.m. local time, all the employees will go to conference rooms or movie theaters nationwide for a video stream from executives addressing Chipotle restaurant problems.
2 norovirus outbreaks, 2 E. coli outbreaks, and a salmonella outbreak later, and Chipotle is hurting. Sales are down, the stock is down, and a U.S. attorney in California has subpoenaed documents relating to food safety as part of a criminal investigation.
That's Fox's Jessica Rosenthal. Fox News Radio. Fair and balanced.
Clouds and a few snow showers in the area, 31 degrees, 8:02 on AM 560. The Answer. Good morning, I'm Mike Scott. According to London Sun newspaper, fired Chicago Police Chief Gary McCarthy is one of 5 who may be up for the top job for the London Metropolitan Police Department. McCarthy, of course, has been in U.S. policing for about 35 years. He joins other U.S. candidates, including New York's Police Chief Bill Bratton and top L.A. boss Charlie Beck, along with frontrunner Bob Paulson of the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. American Airlines adding 5 new gates to O'Hare, part of Chicago's first major expansion at the airport in nearly a quarter century since Terminal 5 was built in 1993. 1 person dead, another hurt after a weekend shooting in Bolingbrook. Police say Wantrell Quarles was shot and killed Saturday night at a home in the 100 block of Cypress Drive. Police say the shooting was sparked following a dispute among friends who recently attended an area funeral. 4 young people shot outside a home in Chicago. 1 is in critical condition. Chicago police tell us the shooting happened on the city's south side on Sunday morning. Illinois state troopers are investigating a weekend shooting on the Eisenhower Expressway. Authorities say the shooter opened fire on a car yesterday near Racine Avenue. The victim struck in the leg. Chicago sports. Bulls head to Charlotte tonight. Blackhawks begin a 4-game homestand tomorrow. And the news, a service of the Ad Council. You may not witness bullying every day, but your kids do. And they want to help. They don't know how, so help them by visiting stopbullying.gov to learn a safe, simple way your child can help stop bullying at stopbullying.gov. 8:03 is our time. Time for the AM 560 Business Beat, a service of turnkey.pro. And from the Fox Business Network, here's Pam Puso.
From the Fox Business Network, it could be an ugly day on Wall Street. Dow futures are off 200 points. The S&P and the Nasdaq also expected to open lower. As stock futures fell, European markets followed, plunging to 16-month lows. Many Asian markets were closed because of the Lunar New Year holiday. Investors looking ahead to Wednesday and Thursday. That's when Fed Chief Janet Yellen testifies before Congress. Oil prices down, skidding 2%. Prices at the gas tank also lower. The new national average for regular, $1.82 a gallon. Some bright news from Hasbro, the toy maker's fourth quarter earnings exceeding Wall Street expectations. Later this week, Disney, Coca-Cola, and Cisco Systems will be out with their earnings. Moviegoers were watching Kung Fu Panda 3 this weekend. The animated film earning about $21 million. Hail Caesar was a distant second. With the Fox Business Report, I'm Pam Puso.
8:04, a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
You don't win by accident.
It's the Dave Ramsey Show.
So this is your year to win. You don't get out of debt. You don't save your marriage by accident. You don't increase the quality of your marriage by accident. You don't raise great kids accidentally. These are intentional acts that you make choices on the variables in your environment and you form and control your life.
Make the most of your money and get out of debt. He's Dave Ramsey, tonight at 7 on AM 560. The Answer.
Hey, if you're a car enthusiast who appreciates the joy of driving a high-end performance car or never lost your passion for classic or modern muscle cars, you need to know about this Feed the Children business benefactor. With decades of experience, Comet Motorsports provides car lovers with the highest quality service and performance products available. And Comet can save you money on quality service for your pride and joy. Hey, if you own a late-model European performance or domestic muscle car, Comet can install performance tuning software to reprogram your car's computer to increase performance without sacrificing drivability. Comet is a complete tuning facility. Man, Comet even installs parts furnished by customers. If you have minor dents and dings, including hail damage, Comet can perform expert paintless dent repair to avoid bodywork and painting. Call Comet Motorsports in St. Charles at 630-584-5400 or visit CometMotorsports.com. That's Comet with a K.
Uber is an app that helps you make extra money just for driving your car. And because it's totally flexible, you don't have to quit your day job to make more money, because you can drive and earn whenever you want. There are 3 simple steps to start making money. First, sign up for free on your phone. Second, answer a few questions and get approved. And third, start driving. So, what are you waiting for? Sign up today at drivewithuber.com. That's drivewithuber.com.
At GoDaddy, a domain name is the beginning of something awesome. Use it to create a website to promote your business. Open an online store to sell your products. Start a blog. Build your brand. You can even connect your domain to your LinkedIn or Facebook page. And GoDaddy customer support is always ready to help. What will you do with your domain name? Get a .com domain name for only $2.99 for the first year. Right now at GoDaddy.com. 2-year purchase required. Second year is $14.99.
8:07 in our Chicago RadioDeals.com traffic center. Here is Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. In Morton Grove, Golf Road is closed westbound west to the Tri-State between Harms and Overlook. There's a crash there, and this means delays on the southbound side of 94 in that area from Willow to Golf. Northbound 294, delays are Plainfield Road to 47th, Reagan Tollway to past Golf Road, and Dundee to Lake Cook. The Edens is running 29 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose. Crash at Old Orchard in the left lane. Outbound 46 minutes, jammed Foster to Lake Avenue. Mount Kennedy 50 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 42. The Eisenhower is 58 minutes, Thorndale to the post office, outbound 37. Stevenson 54 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Lakeshore Drive, stop and go southbound Bryn Mawr to Fullerton, northbound 18th to Jackson. Southbound 53 is tied up Dundee to Kirchhoff. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Here's meteorologist Kevin Snyder.
A little snow accumulating a coating 2 inches today with a high 33. Breezy with a little snow accumulating a coating 2 inches tonight with a low 20. Wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour near the lake. A bit of snow accumulating a coating 2 inches tomorrow, high 24. I'm Kevin Snyder on AM 560, The Answer.
Currently 29 at O'Hare, 31 along the lake. Next news at 8:30. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by Turnkey IT, giving you the freedom to focus on your business while they handle the technical stuff. Turnkey IT.
Good morning. Welcome to your Monday morning briefing. Here's what you need to know to start your day.
A final star turn it is for Peyton. And the Denver Broncos have taken Super Bowl 50.
Here's the bottom line. This notion that Barack Obama doesn't know what he's doing is just not true.
There it is.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
The memorized 25-second speech.
How tough is it to take property from an elderly woman? Let me talk. Quiet. How tough is it? A lot of time.
And just remember, there's a special place in hell for women who don't help each other.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Good morning, Dan. And in for Amy this morning is Chicago Tribune editorial board member Kristen McQuarrie. And you heard Madeleine Albright at the top about that special place in hell for women who don't help other women. And the good news is that special place in hell, you'll be able to someday visit Madeleine Albright and Hillary Clinton. But I don't want to talk about politics right now, at least not presidential politics, Kristen. I want to talk about K through 12 education in Chicago, but it's a larger question that Esther Cepeda asks effectively in this very compelling piece she wrote in the Chicago Sun-Times over the weekend. It's essentially a question of, do you put the system ahead of your child? Who do you have, who or what do you have a responsibility to? Do you have a responsibility first and foremost to your children when it comes to education, or do you have a responsibility to be a proper brick in the wall for the system? And this is important against the backdrop of a bankrupt, junk-rated Chicago public school system that does a terrible job of educating children. The system, not blaming teachers, not scapegoating one individual group. The system as a whole doesn't produce what it promises to produce, hasn't in forever, and it doesn't do so at exorbitant prices. So who's the responsibility? The system or your kids? Who is owed that responsibility? 312-642-5600 is the turnkey.pro answer line. 64636DA is the turnkey.pro text line. And Cepeda said her column was prompted by this New York Times Magazine letter that a couple of first-generation college grads recently penned asking for advice. We're struggling with choosing a public school for our son who will enter kindergarten this year. Do we let our neighborhood's kids and our own values down by fleeing to a higher-testing public school in a richer part of the city? Or do we let our son down by sending him to the neighborhood school, which we fear will not put him on solid educational footing? Cepeda goes on to recount that my husband and I were in the same position as that couple of years ago, thinking we could make a difference. We chose to put our sons into our local school in a district whose student body was nearly 70% low income and had performed so poorly for so long that it had been taken over by the state. But we were committed to elevating the system. We attended parent meetings, filled out improvement surveys, all of that stuff. And she writes, all that effort amounted to nothing. Our kids sat in classes with children whose parents simply didn't have the social capital, income savvy, or time to make a difference in what happened at the school. Year after year, instead of getting better, the district just stayed bad. When it was time for my older son to start high school, the very school I had taught in for a year and knew prepared no more than 24% of its graduates to be college ready, we fled. You have children in Chicago. You live in Chicago.
I do.
What do you make of the question that was posed by that couple in New York and Cepeda's experience and your experience?
I mean, it's a really compelling column. Your readers should read it because she's brutally honest about
She even tried to run for the local school board in order to improve the school. So she had sort of this social justice mentality, which is very honorable. But then she goes on to explain that once her kids did get enrolled in a better school, they were behind. So, and she thought, we're going to put them in our local school. We're going to read with them. She thought that type of parent commitment would overcome the system, and it didn't. So she ended up pulling them out. It's a problem for parents across Chicago. CPS has some great magnet and selective enrollment schools, but you have to test in. And if your child doesn't, you have to make that call. Private school, charter school, or local school. And I happen to live in an area that has pretty decent elementary schools, but then you're also just getting sucked up into the bureaucracy of CPS. And when we were getting ready to send my daughter to school, that's when the teachers decided to strike. And I just said, I'm out. I'm not going to deal with this. So they go to Catholic school.
And how's that going?
It's great. They have. I love when people talk about private schools and all the resources they have. My kids have music, maybe, if they have a teacher. They do art projects in class. They're trying to, we're constantly raising money for equipment. It's a very simple, back to basics type of education. There are no bells and whistles.
And Catholic school teachers are making a fraction of what public school CPS teachers make. As you suggest, they're fraction of the resources. In point of fact, there are more spaces than kids in the archdiocesan schools. This has been part of the conversation about more competition in Chicago. When you have a model that's proving to be successful, why don't you scale it? But in Chicago, instead, the conversation is capping charter schools and blocking scholarships so that children that come from households without the income to afford Catholic school, and there's only so many scholarship dollars that Big Shoulders can raise, they could have access to some of the same schools that Rahm's kids go to, Arnie Duncan's kids, Barack Obama's kids, Esther Cepeda's kids, Kristen McQuarrie's kids, right? What? Huh? What?
Right. One of the most disturbing stories to me every year is when the Archdiocese announces which schools it's going to close. And many of them are in low-income communities. And you have a system that is proven to graduate, 95% of its students, very college-bound, college-ready. And instead of scaling it, we are shrinking the footprint of the Catholic schools because we will not allow any sort of school choice or a voucher program that would allow more kids. I would like more low-income kids to be able to go to my kid's school, but, it gets blocked.
And you're shrinking the population of Chicago because people are doing what Esther Cepeda did, but they're she just fled she said, I think it was like a half a mile to a neighborhood where it was, a more Tony neighborhood that had better local schools and so forth, and where she ultimately decided to send her son. But the bottom line is, of course, you have families with the wherewithal fleeing to the suburbs or, frankly, fleeing to another state, just like they are generally people with resources, because it doesn't make financial, educational, any sense to be in Chicago or Illinois if you have responsibility for your children. And this is a seminal question because everything we're told by the ruling political class in Chicago and Cook County and Illinois is always system. You ever notice that? It's always system-oriented. They don't want system change. They want you to fall in line and support the system at all costs. And if you don't support the system, especially if you're a good lobotomized liberal, particularly a wealthy one, if you make any noise, if you break from the orthodoxy, you're somehow a traitor to the system. It is Soviet style. It truly is.
Well, you know who else then falls into that category? A lot of CPS teachers who send their kids to private school.
A decade ago, there was a study by the Fordham Institute. I don't know what current numbers are, but the Fordham Institute did a study about a decade ago. 40% of CPS teachers send their kids to private schools. So what does that say about their assessment of the district, of the system, I should say, they teach in? What does it say about them having the resources to do it as well? It's twofold. William in Cicero, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer.
Hello?
Hey, William, you're on.
I listen to you every morning, and I get kind of aggravated. I'm a teacher, and you guys talk a lot of stuff, but you never say the truth. You're part of the problem.
Okay,
if
how's
we
that?
were Well, if we were a Catholic school, we could pick and choose who comes to our school. As a public school, we can't do that. As a public school, we have to teach those kids that lady was talking about in New York, where the parents don't have the wherewithal to care about school or whatever the reasoning is. I'm not a psychiatrist.
Right.
But get off the back of the public schools that is doing the best with what we have. If you have a problem with the money and the politics, then talk about that.
Hey, William,
people are in here busting their asses to do the best they can.
Yeah,
for
I
these young
understand.
people.
I understand. And see, this is my point, William.
See, but I don't understand.
William, can I make a point? Can I make a point? You made your point. Let me make a point, because this is the pushback we get from teachers all the time. What did I say? Please listen to what I actually said rather than what you wish I said. I'm talking about a system that does not work all the way around. This is not putting it on the backs of teachers.
Exactly.
Solely.
And you talk about a system that doesn't work, but you provide no answers.
I do actually provide answers, but you have to be willing to listen. You have to be willing. You have to be willing to listen. We believe in this country that competition produces better goods and services at lower costs across the board. Every sector has a competitive model, except somehow K through 12 education. Well, I'm not done. What's the special exemption? Why can we not attach money to children and let parents choose where to send their kids like we do at the collegiate level, where you can take those dollars and you can go to U of I or Illinois State or Northwestern or anywhere you want to go? Why not do the same thing and let 1,000 flowers bloom at the K through 12 level?
Because what you're doing in the public school is a service. We're not a business. And it's not a product that we're putting out as you claim. I cannot control many things that happen to my students. But when they come through my door, I give them the best I can. And this talk, you ignore the problems in society and the problems
I don't ignore
that we
them at
have
all.
to deal with.
Don't ignore them at all. I know.
By you claiming that you can somehow come up with a better system, I'm a capitalist. I agree. Let us have. I don't have a problem with competing against other people.
Okay.
But if you're going to compete with other people, then there has to be a fair playing ground. And what's going to happen, and you know it's going to happen, is what's going to happen to these kids that fall through the cracks. Who's going to take care of them?
William, what percentage of kids are falling through the cracks in this command control system? You can't say my idea versus a utopia that doesn't exist. You have to say my idea versus the current system. And you're telling me you couldn't do worse than CPS does for $5.5 billion. You could not do worse if you tried. Thanks for the call, William. And point of fact, I'll go back to what Bill Bennett said as Secretary of Education 25 years ago, because it's still true today. Bill Bennett, when he was the incumbent Secretary of Education under Reagan, said the Ku Klux Klan could not design a system that is more destructive to minority children than the Chicago public school system. It was true 25 years ago. It's true today.
Listen to podcasts of Dan and Amy from the AM 560 mobile app. Download it today at 560theanswer.com/mobile.
Well, it's hot in the studio after that exchange. Your forecast today, cloudy and colder with a light dusting of snow, high of 33. Tonight, breezy with a little snow at times, accumulating a coating to an inch, low of 20. Now we'll do a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thank you, Kristen and Dan. Morton Grove, we have a closure of Gulf Road at Harms. This is west of the Tri-State due to a crash, and that is causing delays big time on the Tri-State Tollway. It is stop and go southbound from 21 to Everett, a big delay, and then from Willow to Gulf. Northbound, it's slow from the Reagan Tollway all the way up to Gulf Road and then Dundee to Lake Cook. Adams Tollway stop and go Higgins to 53 and Bussey to the Des Plaines Oasis. Reagan Tollway from Roosevelt to the Tri-State Veterans Memorial, Heavy Lake to 290. But southbound 53 is bottled up Dundee to Kirchhoff. Eden's 29 minutes Lake Cook to Montrose after a crash at Old Orchard. Outbound 46 minutes to Lake Cook. Kennedy 50 minutes O'Hare to downtown, outbound 38. The Eisenhower is 51 minutes, Thorndale to downtown, outbound 34. Stevenson 58 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive. The Ryan 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com Traffic Center.
I always thought you were way better than Joe Walsh.
Text from, I say a tweet. Give me a break, like the Catholic schools. Like the Catholic school in Inglewood is drawing from kids in Lake Forest. Exactly. One of the other discussions, we'll get to this after the break. Catholic schools like Hales Franciscan, the Catholic school in Inglewood, that draw from the same families with the same socioeconomic challenges and yet produce a different result. Why is that happening? Everywhere you go, the threat looms. It follows you. No matter what you do, the longer you avoid the IRS and the financial difficulties you're going through, the faster they will begin to close in on you. Take control of your situation and stop the chase. John Doet of Thinking Outside the Box Law Firm will help you end the feeling of being hunted by the IRS. If you've avoided taxes or could benefit from the life-saving assistance of bankruptcy, it's time you call John Doet. This is an attorney who is willing to take on the federal government on your behalf. He's worked to discharge thousands of dollars in penalties, and he can help you settle your debts once and for all. Call 888-777-4193. Stop being hunted down by the IRS. Let John Doet of Thinking Outside the Box Law Firm deal with the IRS personally. His proven system works. Call John today for your own relief plan, 888-777-4193, or visit him online at thinkingoutsidetheboxlaw.com. That's thinkingoutsidetheboxlaw.com.
Safer USA, Chicago's most trusted name in firearm training, is offering beginners classes, tactical pistol and rifle, long-range rifle to 600 yards, and the most comprehensive Illinois concealed carry program available. AM 560 On Target Radio co-hosts David Lombardo and Gretchen Fritz will prepare you to carry a firearm for personal protection, including firearm, holster, and ammunition selection. A comprehensive law review designed to keep you out of trouble and even how to deal with home invasions. Firearm, ammunition, holster, class notebook, and lunch are provided. Safer USA and the Aurora Sportsman's Club invites you to participate in this one-of-a-kind Illinois concealed carry program that also qualifies you for Florida, Utah, and Arizona non-resident permits. Find out what over 6,000 students already know at saferusa.com.
Or call 815-741-3474. That's 815-741-3474. Safer USA. Choosing to own a firearm is your business. Teaching you to own it responsibly is ours.
Here's Dr. Howard, formulator of Balance of Nature, an all-natural, 100% organic fruit and vegetable supplement.
Did you know 40% of all cancer could be prevented? That's a fact. Along with maintaining appropriate body weight and regular exercise, the American Institute for Cancer Research and the USDA confirm that eating 9 to 11 servings of fruits and vegetables every day is the key. Now ask yourself, am I at risk? How many servings of fruits and vegetables did I eat today? Balance of Nature has solved this problem and provides an easy and affordable way to consume over 10 servings of 31 different whole fruits and vegetables every day.
Get real today with Balance of Nature's fruits and veggies. Call toll-free 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com and be sure to enter promo code CHICAGO.
AM 560, The Answer.
Do you owe a duty to the school system or do you owe a duty to your kids? We were talking to William, a teacher from Cicero, who called in. Is a bit upset with me, but that's okay. We need to have this discussion. And he's right to say it's not fair to compare Chicago Public Schools or Cicero schools to Bennett Academy and the selection of students that schools get to do, Catholic schools get to do. What about St. Benedict the African in Inglewood as compared to the Inglewood local schools? What about Hales Franciscan in Bronzeville as compared to the local schools, public schools in Bronzeville, pulling from the same kids?
Leo High School.
What's happening there that's not happening in CPS? All I'm looking for is models that are successful to scale rather than defending a system that is in perpetual failure. That's it. And I'm not blaming the teachers solely. There's plenty of blame to go around, all the way around. Mike in Geneva, you're on Chicago's Morning Answer. Hey, Mike.
Hi, Dan. William and Cicero really does highlight the issue. Like you said, no one is blaming the teachers. They're trying very hard. At the same time, things aren't working. My daughter is a bilingual teacher out here in the suburbs, and that school is a mess. So it's not just the city.
No.
It's even in the far west suburbs. It's the administration.
Yeah.
They got to get the curriculum down to the teachers and then model excellence.
Yeah, thanks for the call, Mike. I appreciate it. I mean, like I've written about this for years. A great teacher is like a great artist. I wouldn't have this phony baloney job on the radio where they pay me a lot of money to talk for a living if I didn't get a good education. It was through the Catholic schools, but there are public schools that do a great job too. Why are so many people so afraid of competition when central planning has been an abject failure?
Because the teachers' unions play a big role in emailing and getting their members worked up. That if you support school choice, you are attacking their livelihood, and it's not true. And teachers aren't brave enough, I think, a lot of times to fight back against their union. I mean, look at what CTU just did, rejecting a contract. I think there are probably a lot of teachers who thought that was not a smart vote for the bargaining committee to take. But they don't. They sit quietly. They don't like, the resources that they get in their classroom, but they're pretty happy with the paycheck and the pension and the benefits, which is really all that the teachers union, fights for.
Bob in West Chicago.
Hey, thanks for the call. The other issue that William failed to make was that there really is no discipline in these schools. If you look at the Catholic schools and the structure that they have and the respect that they have for the teachers and the institution itself, there's such a huge disparity between the two. And that's the thing that William failed to bring up, is that there really is no sound structure. There's no patriotism. There's no religious respect of any kind. And it's just a secular, humanistic system that's failed.
Thanks for the call, Bob. And here's the thing, that teachers don't have the backup from the administration to institute discipline as well. So it's a little bit like the Ferguson effect for cops. If I institute discipline in my classroom, I'm not going to be backed by the administration. That's a problem. I'll tell you what, you take a couple of the nuns from St. Mike's in Wheaton that taught me, and Bill Casher, my gym teacher, and they'll clean up all the grammar schools and CPS in about 6 months. But he's exactly right. Bob's exactly right. You need adults to be adults in charge of a system, instilling discipline, as well as ushering children into the love of learning for a lifetime.
There's only one radio show in Chicago talking about today's biggest stories and telling you what they really mean. That show is this one, Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Nothing frustrates me more than liberal hypocrisy. Take our food, for example. The left claims to care about the poor and the environment, but guess what? They're waging a silent war against America's farmers that is making our food supply more costly and less sustainable. America's family farmers are producing more food using less land and fewer resources than ever before. Now, they should be cheered, but instead, radical groups are working with government bureaucrats to crack down on our farmers and limit the tools and technology that they're allowed to use. Now, the result is higher food costs for you, the American consumer, and low-income families, they're hit the hardest. Now, thankfully, someone is fighting back. Protect the Harvest is a national coalition working to defend modern American agriculture. You can check them out at protecttheharvest.com and follow them on Facebook to get the very latest news and see how you can help. Don't let radical activists control your family's food choices. Visit protecttheharvest.com today.
The holidays are over. It's time to think a little bit about yourself. Maybe treat yourself to a MyPillow. I'm Amy Jacobson, and my mother, myself, and others in my life love our MyPillows. If you've procrastinated, don't put it off. MyPillow is a premium pillow with 4 different loft levels that's customized to your individual preference. And for my listeners who use the promo code Amy, you'll get 2 MyPillows for the price of 1. It's MyPillow's best offer. It's so important to get a great night's sleep. MyPillow helps with snoring, headaches, neck pain, insomnia, allergies. Plus, it's washable and it keeps its shape and gives you support where you need it most. That's why it's the official pillow of the National Sleep Foundation. For this 2 for the price of 1 offer, visit MyPillow.com or call 800-489-0201 and use the promo code Amy. Do it now, 800-489-0201 or online at MyPillow.com. Promo code Amy, 800-489-0201.
AM 560, The Answer.
Coming up after we check the headlines with Mike Scott, we're going to talk to Governor John Sununu, former New Hampshire governor, about what will happen when New Hampshire voters go to the polls tomorrow night. But now let's get that check of the headlines with Mike Scott.
Dan and Kristen, good morning. 31 degrees. We've had some snow showers crossing the area. Super Bowl 50 in the history books. Denver Broncos champions. The NFL already thinking ahead to 51 in the Twin Cities at the brand new U.S. Bank Stadium, and the NFL draft here in Chicago set for the end of April. President Barack Obama asking Congress for more than $1.8 billion in emergency funding to help fight the Zika virus. At least 4 were rescued today from a high-rise Taiwanese apartment building toppled by a powerful earthquake on Saturday. One girl rescued, an 8-year-old girl who had been trapped for more than 61 hours. The presidential candidates have today to campaign across New Hampshire before the primary tomorrow. This morning on MSNBC's Morning Joe, Jeb Bush referred to Republican Marco Rubio as a work in progress. Rubio is defending his record of accomplishment in the U.S. Senate and in the Florida legislature.
Let me say, from protecting the people of Florida from eminent domain abuse, to bringing accountability to the VA, to the Girls Count Act, to sanctioning terrorist groups, I'm proud of my service in the United States Senate and before that in the Florida legislature.
Bush called Rubio a gifted politician, but perhaps not yet ready for the White House. Chipotle closing all of its restaurants in a few hours this morning. The Mexican chain will push back today's opening hours so all employees can attend meetings on food safety that have bedeviled the chain. According to London's Sun newspaper, former Chicago Police Chief Gary McCarthy is one of the top 5 candidates to head up the London Metropolitan Police Force. American Airlines adding 5 new gates to O'Hare, part of the airport's first major expansion in nearly a quarter century. Chicago sports: Bulls take on Michael Jordan's Charlotte Hornets later tonight. Blackhawks begin a 4-game homestand tomorrow night at the United Center. The news service of your Chicagoland JiffyLube.com. You don't have to make an appointment at Jiffy Lube, and they now offer brake service at some of their locations. So if you need a high-quality oil change, brake service, or any other preventative maintenance, Jiffy Lube has you covered. For a listing of Jiffy Lube locations that offer brake services, visit ChicagolandJiffyLube.com. 8:35 and a check of traffic and weather on the way next on AM 560.
Mike Gallagher sees 2 reasons for Bernie Sanders' rise.
It would be because of perhaps millennials who are very excited about free stuff, because that's what Bernie Sanders keeps offering. Meanwhile, Hillary is up to her eyeballs with the new reports about top secret emails on her server. Most people don't trust her, and maybe this is why a 74-year-old socialist is doing so well.
The Mike Gallagher Show, weekdays at 9, right before Dennis Prager at 11 on AM 560. The Answer.
Through Wheaton's modular MA in Intercultural Studies, you'll train with their globally connected community on the latest methods for careers in cross-cultural ministry. Apply by March 15th at wheaton.edu/crosscultural.
Congratulations, Susan. Your daughter is such a gorgeous bride, and this setting is just amazing.
Thanks, Jane. Only the best for my daughter's wedding.
I've never been to an outdoor wedding with such an elegant tent. The lantern lighting is so romantic, and I can see all the stars through the clear top.
We couldn't have done it without the professionals at Blue Peak Tent and Event Rentals. They worked closely with us to create the ambiance we wanted, making sure no detail was overlooked.
Do you think they could help plan a tent for our company picnic this summer? We have about 500 people.
Absolutely. Blue Peak Tents has a variety of climate control tents that can fit nearly any space and accommodate any guest count. They've done thousands of tents across Chicagoland for corporate outings, weddings, graduations, festivals, and more. I wouldn't wait. They're already booking for spring and summer seasons. You should call now, 630-338-0288.
Make your next outdoor party memorable with Blue Peak Tents, 630-338-0288, or visit bluepeaktents.com.
Valentine's Day is this week, and Pro Flowers is offering an amazing deal. 2 dozen assorted roses plus a free glass vase for just $29.99. Go to proflowers.com, click on the microphone in the right corner, and enter code 1515. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. Imagine her delight when 2 dozen gorgeous assorted roses arrive. And for such an amazing price, it's a win-win. Order now from Pro Flowers. You pick the delivery date, and it's guaranteed. 2 dozen stunning assorted roses, guaranteed to stay fresh and beautiful for at least 7 days for $29.99. And will include a vase for free. Fresh flowers, guaranteed delivery, and add-ons to complete your gift. Pro Flowers has everything you need to win Valentine's Day. But hurry, this incredible deal expires this Friday. The only way to get this amazing Valentine's Day deal is to visit proflowers.com. Click on the blue microphone in the upper right corner and enter the secret code 1515. That's proflowers.com, secret code 1515.
8:37 in our ChicagoRadioDeals.com traffic center, the latest with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Mike. The inbound Eden says stop-and-go traffic from Dundee to Lake Avenue with a crash on the right shoulder. 26 minutes. Lake Cook to Montrose outbound 45. Kennedy, 42 minutes. O'Hare to downtown, outbound 38. Eisenhower is 52 minutes. Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 34. Stevenson, 58 minutes. 355 to Lakeshore Drive. It's fine outbound. Ryan is 23 minutes. 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound stop and go 120 to 137 at Willow to Gulf Road. Northbound from the Reagan Tollway to past Grand Avenue and Toohey to Gulf. Adams Tollway delays. Higgins to 53 and Bussey to the Des Plaines Oasis. Veterans Memorial heavy. Lake to 290 and southbound 53 slow Dundee to Kirchhoff. Traffic answers when you need them most. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. Your official Chicagoland weather forecast from the aircomfort.com Weather Center. 80 years of quality mechanical solutions for your business. Cloudy and colder, bit of snow. Coating to an inch today, high 33. Breezy, but a bit of snow overnight as well. A low of 20. 31 at O'Hare. Next news at 9. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by the New American Funding Show, walking you through stress-free mortgage options. Sunday afternoons at 1 on AM 560, The Answer.
Hey, before you read about it on Facebook or Twitter, well, hear about it from your friends. Find out what today's big stories really mean with me, Sean Hannity, today at 2, right here on AM 560, The Answer.
Good morning, Dan, and in for Amy Jacobson this morning is Kristen McQuarrie, she of the Chicago Tribune editorial board, and this is one of my favorite political guests. Yeah, I don't always agree with him, but he's always heap big fun. He's always entertaining. He always has a quip or two up his sleeve, and there's no better person to talk about what is likely to happen tomorrow night when New Hampshire voters go to the polls than former New Hampshire governor and former chief of staff to President George Herbert Walker Bush. He is Governor John Sununu. Governor Sununu, thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thank you. What do you mean you don't agree with me all the time?
Well, see, this is what I'm talking. You're already starting in.
With Kasich. I think you're supporting Kasich. That'd probably be.
No, my son is. My son is.
I'm sorry.
Have made no. I'm not endorsing anyone.
Oh, yes. Okay. No, playing Switzerland on us a little bit. Very interesting.
Well, I'm an equal opportunity offender.
There you go.
I want to offend them all equally.
All right. Well, why don't we start by settling this debate within the debate? Is Barack Obama evil or is he incompetent?
Yes.
Exactly. Yes. Correct answer. What did you think about that moment between Rubio and Christie that has really been the bulk of the coverage after the debate? How damaging was it to Rubio, or is it being completely blown out of proportion?
It's being blown out of proportion. Look, what people forget is that what Rubio, even though he said it 4 times, what he was saying is that he felt that Obama was deliberately messing things up. There's a chunk of the electorate out there that believes it. I mean, I don't, but there is a chunk of the electorate out there that does believe it. So he just hammered a point home to a non-trivial portion of the electorate. I think the press loves to report style and forgets that there's substance behind messages.
What do you make of the polls that have Trump leading? It just seems such a different time than 4 years ago when Mitt Romney was the candidate. Give us like an on-the-ground perspective.
I have to confess to you, for the first time in my life, I cannot figure out what the electorate is doing. I must be turning into an old cranky fogey, but I do not have a feeling for this electorate. I think, he's polled very well. He's been as high as 20, 25 points ahead here. I think he's got to win by at least a dozen points, maybe 15 points to maintain his credibility and not be seen as having his momentum eroding. And I think he may have trouble doing that.
How does it work on the in terms of the actual process there? What's likely to happen with this open primary system where you have 40% of voters likely to turn out that are undeclared, and they're going to perhaps, especially some in the middle, are going to size up where their vote may matter the most, and it may look like Bernie's walk away, and so they're going to play in the Republican primary.
I think that's quite possible. The amazing thing about New Hampshire is that we always end up with a surprise, and frankly, if we don't end up with a surprise, I'll be surprised. But I cannot honestly. I don't really have a sense as to how things are going to break here. I suspect that most of the independents will go to the Republican side because it's where the contests are. I don't know what flavor of independent will go. You know, a lot of folks stay independent because they like the flexibility of going either way in the primary, going to either party in the primary. But for most of them, they may really be Republicans or Democrats. It's just that they like the advantage of not declaring. But we've never been able to get a handle even on that number. I think we're going to have a huge turnout, as we always do. I think you're going to see a lot of the traditional voters turn out, and I think that's good news for the three governors and Rubio. I think you're going to see the fact that that some of the new voters that may have been polling for Trump may not turn out, and I think he'll have the similar kind of erosion that he had in Iowa. I think Trump will win. I don't think he'll win by as much as a lot of people have been saying he's going to win by, and then I think there'll be a big clustering of 3 or 4 candidates that will virtually be tied for second place, the Rubios, the Kasich, and maybe Jeb Bush, and then I think you'll see Cruz and Christie behind.
So on Cruz, since this is his first test since Iowa, this is a less faith-based GOP primary voter. That's what we always hear. So
right.
How do you assess how faith and how Ted Cruz will play tomorrow?
I think the fact that Ted is talking about really caring more about South Carolina than New Hampshire tells you that even in his own heart he knows he's not going to do as well here as he had hoped to do, and he's moving on to South Carolina.
But he is kind of bunched up right now in that group that you just mentioned. You expect him to fall further, even behind Jeb and Kasich and Rubio?
I think there is a chance, but again, I go back to what I said at the very beginning of this. For the first time in my life, I'm almost guessing as much as you would be, because this is so volatile. I think 25% of our voters won't make up their mind until they line up to vote.
Yeah, that could be. Well, what about, I mean, you're close to the Bush family. I mentioned former chief of staff to President Herbert Walker Bush. How do you assess Jeb's candidacy beyond New Hampshire, but so far, why has he struggled to get any footing?
I think Jeb in the last 2 weeks, 3 weeks, has discovered that politics is a contact sport. And he was originally trying to run his campaign of joy and being too polite. I think he's now mixing it up, and I think you saw that in the last debate where he really pounded Trump on his eminent domain. And eminent domain is an important issue to conservative Republicans, and I don't think Trump understands how horrible that comes across. And Jeb pounded him on that, and I think he's going to continue to be the tough aggressor as he goes into South Carolina. So I think he's got new energy. Whether it happened quick enough, I can't tell you. We'll find out if it really stands him in good stead here in New Hampshire. If he comes in that cluster at second place, I think you may see new life in his campaign.
So will socialist New Hampshire voters come to their senses, or is Bernie Sanders still a lock for the Democratic nomination or the Democratic?
I'm sorry, will the socialist New Hampshire voters?
Yes. Will they come to their senses?
I think both of those will, but the rest of the voters,
yes,
the rest of the voters are they're going to go for Bernie because he's a neighbor. We treat our neighbors well. Paul Tsongas beat Bill Clinton, and Bernie Sanders will probably beat Hillary Clinton. In a way, it's a shame because it dilutes the impact of the state on the process in general. But I think it's to be expected, and I think Bernie will win big.
Well, what are you talking about? It could be a springboard for Bernie to the nomination. You got to look at it positively.
There's no way the Democrats will let Bernie win the nomination. If he knocks Hillary out, so to speak, you will have Joe Biden, even if they have to change the rules in order to get him in the game.
Well, let me ask you how, I mean, going back to the Republican side, you talk about New Hampshire treat your neighbors well. I mean, Chris Christie has been treated well. He got the Manchester Union Leader endorsement, and he had his moment, but he seems to have receded. He doesn't seem like he's being treated particularly well.
Well, we don't border on New Jersey.
Very technical definition of neighbor. I see.
There's a technical definition.
I see. Okay. All right, Governor John Sununu, former governor of New Hampshire and former chief of staff to President George Herbert Walker Bush. Thanks so much for joining us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me on. Really do appreciate it. Have a great day.
You too. And he joined us on the Turnkey.pro answer line.
Before you see it on TV, share it on Facebook, or read about it in the paper. Hear it here first. This is Chicago's Morning Answer on AM 560. The Answer.
Your forecast today, cloudy and colder with a slight dusting of snow. High of 33 tonight, breezy, a little snow at times, and dropping down to 20 degrees. Brr. Now a check of traffic with Jim Talamonte.
Thanks, Kristen. Good morning. Good morning, Dan. We have delays on the Edens Expressway inbound. And those delays are from Dundee to Lake Avenue, where there's a crash on the right shoulder. 26 minutes, Lake Cook to Montrose, outbound 45. So from Montrose all the way out to Lake. Inbound Kennedy, delays start at Foster, 41 minutes, O'Hare to downtown, outbound 34. Eisenhower is 51 minutes, Thorndale to the Loop, outbound 33. Stevenson, 58 minutes, 355 to Lakeshore Drive, outbound Fonda 34. Ryan is 23 minutes, 95th to downtown. Tri-State southbound delays are 120 to 137, and Lake Avenue to Dempster. Northbound from the Reagan Tollway to past Grand Avenue and Toohey to Gulf. I'm Jim Talamonte, ChicagoRadioDeals.com, Traffic Center.
ChicagoRadioDeals.com has pulled the trigger to bring you classes for Illinois gun owners. Take advantage of a new Illinois concealed carry class from Safer USA. Dave Lombardo, class instructor, offering his concealed carry 16-hour seminar for only $150. Now, this seminar is normally $300. It covers everything you need to know to protect you and your family with a concealed carry firearm for personal protection or against a home invasion. Dave is a pro and also the host of the show On Target Radio. Get in a little range time as well with a one-year range membership from the Outdoorsman Sports Shop in Winthrop Harbor. This is a premium gun range in Northeast Illinois, and a one-year membership is only $149. That's a $350 value. Your range membership includes great discounts on products and services at the Outdoorsman Sports Shop. Find out all the details at ChicagoRadioDeals.com. Also featuring great deals on many other lifestyle training classes. Find them all at ChicagoRadioDeals.com.
I just took Balance of Nature for the first time. You guys are awesome. God bless you.
I have CIDP. It's helped me with my balance. It's helped clear up my skin condition.
I honestly did notice a difference. That's why I reordered it.
I feel good. I really just feel good. Everything has changed. I just feel so much better.
There's absolutely no doubt in my mind that this product works. It's helped me as far as my overall health. I even recommended it to my mother, and she's been taking it, and she's 89 years old.
Get started early on your New Year's resolution with our best price of the year. Call now to find out how to get your free month's supply of Balance of Nature. Call 800-2468-751. That's 800-2468-751. Or go online to balanceofnature.com. Use promo code CHICAGO.
Business moves at the speed of trust. Trust in your product, and just as imperative, trust in those that represent your business. For almost 3 decades, Flex Execs has helped their clients become more competitive by recruiting and vetting qualified experts for short-term assignments in HR, accounting, marketing, and operations. Need individual consultants or project teams from staff level to the executive suite? Flex Exec's talented consultants are superior and unmatched. Whether you require interim experts or have regular positions to fill, Flex Exec's professional recruiting organization will help you meet your deadlines, control costs, and place the people you need for maximum business results. Business moves at the speed of trust. Trust the people that represent your business. You can't afford not to. Connect online with Flex Execs at flex2016.com or call Chris at 630-655-0563, extension 2. Flex2016.com or call Chris at 630-655-0563. Extension 2.
Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues now. And make sure to stay tuned to catch me, Mike Gallagher, coming up at 9, only on AM 560, The Answer.
Dan and Kristen McQuarrie in for Amy. And Kristen, U46 in Elgin, big suburban school district.
Big suburban district, yes.
And a slightly better run than CPS, slightly more financially sound than CPS, which is to say not. So there's this incident that has occurred among school board members. Jeanette Ward, who's a U46 school board member and someone I supported in the last election, the interest of full disclosure, she has come under fire from fellow board members who apparently have nothing better to do than read her Facebook page for a Facebook post on February 1st where she quotes, in honor of Black History Month, from Jason Riley's book, Please Stop Helping Us, How Liberals Make It Harder for Blacks to Succeed. Jason Riley, African-American, former, I think he may be current. He's either current or former Wall Street Journal editorial board member, a very sharp guy, but, he's a conservative. And you can tell from the title of the book, he has some choice things to say. She quotes from the book. She's quoting Jason Riley's words, in which he says, among other things, it's more important to have a black man in the home than in the Oval Office. And this has generated all kinds of heat directed at Jeanette Ward from fellow board members who say that's racist. And tonight there's a meeting at which people are going to speak publicly about it, for and against, I guess. This has bubbled up to the surface. Or U46, not so concerned. Some board members not so concerned about children being able to grow up and read Jason Riley's books and make decisions for themselves, more interested in quelling speech. So again, the kind of this totalitarian political correctness seeping down to the K through 12 level from academia. 7 p.m. tonight in Elgin, 355 East Chicago Street. People can speak publicly about Jeanette Ward quoting an African-American author about the state of black families in this country and being accused of racism. This is how silly it's gotten.
Yeah, it's on her Facebook page. She has a post up now with kind of some rules because she's been come under fire. No profanity or you'll be blocked. Third-party public posts have to be disabled because you're not allowed to comment on race or anything of the like, even on your own private Facebook page, because if it could be somehow interpreted to be offensive, you will get the hammer dropped on you.
Montaigne, the great French philosopher, said that the greatest torture a man endures is not being able to express what's in his soul. I feel sorry for these totalitarian leftists. They're tortured souls. They can't express themselves. They can't make arguments, so they try and quash discussion. That's going on at U46, big suburban school district, biggest in the state. So if you care about K through 12 education, take your eye off the presidential race for a minute. And if you're in that district or just care about K through 12 education, generally speaking, you may want to think about making your way to U46 or at least giving them a call and letting them know what you think.
This Valentine's Day is all about showing that special someone how much you love them, and no good gesture goes unnoticed. But some loved ones this year, aside from the ones close to you, could use a little love from you too. 2-year-old Elliot Grants has been diagnosed with grade 4 glioblastoma, and he and his family could use your love and support at Austin's Fuel Room in Libertyville on Valentine's Day from 5 to 10 p.m. for their Grace of Grants event. Tickets include apps, drinks, and a live show from crooner Ron Hawking, but most importantly, the $125 price tag goes directly towards easing the financial burden that the Grants family has taken on as they spend their Valentine's Day fighting to keep their biggest love alive, well, and taken care of. Please join in their fight and show the Grants family what true love this Valentine's Day really looks like. For more info, please call 847-549-1972 or visit austinssaloon.com. On AM 560 The Answer, we talk about the important issues that affect your world. Things like the economy, education, and foreign policy. There's always so much going on in the news that we don't always have the time to drill down and talk about the big ideas behind the big issues. That's where Upstream Ideas comes in. Upstream Ideas, online at upstream-ideas.com, in partnership with the Illinois Policy Institute, provides the kind of information that informs the policy discussions happening here on AM 560. At Upstream Ideas, you'll broaden the debate, move beyond partisan assumptions, and challenge accepted orthodoxies. In other words, Upstream Ideas goes against the current and thinks upstream. Go online now to upstream-ideas.com